All right, welcome into the latest edition of the second half draft show, draft podcast. I am your host, Juice, joined by Headley and Drew. Apologies for the delay. I know, I know there are already some comments in terms of what's going on. Yeah, my Radio Shack situation has been acting up. Hopefully I can make it through this particular stream. We're doing some MacGyver type stuff over here to try to make it work. Get a little bit of a late start here tonight, but I think we have a good show in store for you. Shout out Mr. C. Prasky. What up, DP, the scouting room? We're gonna start. We're gonna start with obviously summer scout.
No.
Right? We're in the dog days of summer.
Hold on.
In the dog days already?
He want to address Altoids accusations.
Okay.
That's what he want to do.
There are no Altoids over here. I've had my experience. It was terrible. Never again. We'll talk about it one day. One of these days we'll talk about it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're gonna have to flesh that one out. All right. So on deck this evening, again, summer scouting is the primary focus throughout the dog days of summer. We got Texas, Ohio State, and Clemson. Yeah. I need answers too, my boy. I need answers too. At any rate, we also have a top 10. We have a top 10 list. Focus on whom we think might be the most impactful transfers that are actually draft eligible for the 2026 class. We think they'll actually be able to bolster their draft stock, skyrocket their respective draft stocks. So that's actually where we're going to start, gents. We're going to start with that top 10 list in terms of transfers, and that this is the modern era of college football with NIL and the fact that guys can transfer and not necessarily have to sit out. It's effectively turned into a sport that now has its own version of free agency. And there's obviously the financial implications associated with it, right? But through the prism of what we're concerned about, it's about what does that do in terms of your draft stock? What does this put you in a more advantageous situation, right? Can you maximize this opportunity that you've carved out for yourself? So we do think there are about 10 or so. There's more, obviously, but narrowing it down to about 10 individuals we think will definitely improve their corresponding draft stock as a result of where they landed via the transfer portal. So at number 10, we got a pair of receivers, a pair of new teammates, actually. And that's going to be Nick Anderson and Barian Brown. So Anderson, formerly of the Oklahoma Sooners, and Brown, formerly of the Kentucky Wildcats. Of course, both didn't necessarily have the statistical output that I think they would have liked to have in 2024. A lot of that happened to be a byproduct of the fact that there just wasn't quality quarterback play there as well. So let's start with these two. They're now in LSU. A lot of expectations coming out of LSU. Of course, we discussed the trigger man, the quarterback, at length last week. So let's talk about it. Joe, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts on Nick Anderson and Barian Brown, and why do you think they're definitely going to improve their draft stock?
Well, Nick Anderson ain't got no choice, bro. He was injured last year. Got no counting numbers to speak of. It was a significant quad injury. I think he tore it off the bone. I'm not really sure, but the assumption is that he's coming back. He's going to be healthy. Let me pull up my notes because I was trying to do some stuff for Twitter. But big, strong, play physical, hard, and he's hard to bring down once the ball's in his hands. Eats up space quickly and uses that to his advantage, especially in off coverage. It looks like he has a plan in terms of what he's going to do to the defender. He'll get in the blind spot of the defender, turning corners around, reaches his top speed quickly. So he has that acceleration. Like I talked about in terms of having a plan at the line of scrimmage. I'm really, really excited for Nick Anderson and this LSU offense. We talk about, I'm not going to say it's wide receiver U, but they've had some guys come out of this school, this college, and this might be the next pair, bro.
Who would it be if you're not going to give it to LSU?
I didn't want to say it was wide receiver U and be wrong, so I said I can't.
Ohio State.
Call it wide receiver.
They got a shot too.
They got a shot too. There you go. Thank you, Hadley.
LSU, Ohio
Me
State.
the alley-oop. I dunked it. Ohio State. I mean, it ain't Miami, it ain't Florida, it ain't Florida State. So, Brian Hartline doing this thing over there, Ohio State.
Why did you involve the Florida schools, bro?
Hey,
could have left them out of it, bro.
I'm just trying to be real, bro.
But
hold on, before you get to your Nick Anderson, I got one more little thing. So watching him, and again, when you say certain players, people ears perk up and they look at you sideways because they're saying you're saying that is that player, and I'm not saying this, but in terms of him running,
I like that. You got to follow, bro. You got to follow it, man.
Let me finish, bro. Let me land the plane, bro. I promise there's wheels, and we gonna be safe when I land, bro.
Oh man.
He reminds me of when he's on the outside. He reminds me of Randy Moss getting down the football field, eating up the space. That's what he reminds me of. 6'4", 219, allegedly.
There you go.
In terms of his size. But go ahead.
That's a big name. They're gonna kill you for that, man. Randy Moss come, but I get it though, man. You see certain things in certain players, and it's not like the complete package is Randy Moss, but a certain aspect of the game reminds you of the great Randy Moss. And like you said, Nick Anderson, transfer from Oklahoma to LSU. So, this is a guy that's going to bolster his stock just from going to that LSU offense with Grant Nussmeier.
Garrett
Nussmeier. It's not Grant. Yeah. We had that typo.
Yeah.
Garrett Nussmeier and that LSU offense, man. Who they had last season. Unfortunate news, Kyron Lacy, big fan of his. But now we got Nick Anderson and Baron Brown. They're two opposite wide receivers. Nick Anderson is the big body, outside 6'4" receivers. You like to stack the DBs. He has that tracks the football well down the field. These are guys that we talked about in summer scouting last year, going into their respective schools before the transfer. And he does have a limited route tree, but he gets physical at the line. He catch contested catches. Big play option down the field, average over 18 yards per carry. And he's one of those guys that had, it was at the beginning of the year, he had like 20 something catches, like 8 TDs. It was a crazy stat on Nick Anderson. So, he knows how to find the end zone. And then as far as Barry and Brown, I was a fan of his last year coming in, him and Dane Key. Dane Key's another guy we could have mentioned out of Kentucky. I think both of those guys transferred out. But Barry and Brown, slot wide receiver, they kind of use him jet motion, get the ball in his hands. That's kind of receiver that he is. He's like gliding, big time speed for me, quickness. He glides in the open field, can stop quickly. Those double moves, man. I love to see Baron Brown run that double move. Him and Nussmeier, again, probably will have that connection. And once he gets the ball, he makes guys miss, man. So the thing with him, he's a smaller guy, might struggle against press. He's a little light, needs to get stronger. Not a big contested catch guy, but they just complement each other so well. Nick Anderson's game and Barry Brown's game. So I don't think it'll take any time for them to start gelling with Nussmeier at LSU.
Yeah, they got him at 6'1", 182. That's a lie. When you watch him on tape, that's a lie, bro. Can't be. I'm just going to add a couple of things. When he gets the ball in his hands, you got to hold your breath, man, because it's exciting. It's get your popcorn ready type. And Headley kind of broke it down in terms of him gliding, and he can catch some short passes, and it can be night, bro.
Yeah, the last thing, not impression, but the comment that you made there, Headley, in terms of them, kind of pairing well, right? Kind of, different body types, different kind of skill sets that they offer. I actually think LSU did well to nab both of them. That kind of creates some flexibility. DP always talks about building your receiving room kind of as a basketball team, having those different positions, different skill sets, right, in order to be effective and stress opposing defenses. So excited to see what they can do with some competent quarterback play. We have talked about Nussmeier's inconsistency, but it's a far cry from what obviously Nick Anderson being injured on the one hand, but of course Oklahoma's offense in general struggled. And then, there was a bit of a black hole in terms of the quarterback position at Kentucky. So I'm sure both players are really looking forward to the opportunity here at LSU. All right. That's who we have at number 10. As a matter of fact, let me bring that back in because I got a nice little transition that I like to do. You know what I mean? when I edit it up.
Got the graphics.
Yeah. I got the graphics. Let's move on to number 9 here. Among the transfers we think will certainly help their 2026 NFL draft stock. Let's take a look at Jack Andrews, tight end, formerly of Cal, but he is now going to be playing his football in Austin. He's a member of the Texas Longhorns, and he put up big numbers, not Tyler Warren, Brock Bowers type numbers, but big numbers, relatively speaking. Most college football teams don't get a ton of production out of their tight ends. Andrews certainly did at Cal a season ago. And now he's going to that Texas offense that has had quite a bit of success over the last couple of seasons with Jatavian Sanders, Gunnar Helm. These guys are focal points within that particular offense. So I think he will certainly be able to match his output from last year and perhaps even build on it, playing with Arch, playing in a pretty offensive-friendly system there under Sark. So what do you guys think about Jack Andrews and what he could do this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think you said it right there, man. Just the move, the location that he's going. Gunnar Helm, like you said, Jatavian Sanders. Arch Manning's now the quarterback there, and he's going to find them. He's going to find them the football, and that's something that Andrews kind of does really well. He knows how to get open. He's not a big-time speedster. He's not a big-time size guy, but he just knows how to find the open holes in the defense, sit down, has very reliable hands. He helps as a blocker, I think, as a pass blocker more than a run blocker. But, he's just going to be one of those dependable targets for Arch Manning across the field. They got the receivers out there, but, you need a guy to kind of control the middle of the field. And I think Andrews, just from moving from Cal to Texas, man, he's going to be in the spotlight more. They're going to play a lot of games this season. I expect him to make a deep run in the playoffs again. So he's going to be under the microscope, a big spotlight on him. And like I said, he's one of those dependable guys. He's not doing too much, but he's going to catch the football. He runs hard after the catch. He knows how to get open. So I'm expecting production again from him this season. So he's a guy to watch.
Yeah, I got here. He's a quarterback's best friend. Like Headley said, he finds the holes in the zones. He sits down immediately. There were a ton of passes that, it was like a 4-yard route, 4-yard, come back, sit down, catch it, and then just head up field, right? Because he's not super fast unless he's kind of heading horizontally to kind of break away from the defender to create that separation. But he is a guy who's going to catch a little 4-yard route and get you another 3 yards because he's going to lean forward like you want from your running back after the tackle, right? Like Eddie said, he's got strong hands, good hands, reliable, and he does enough in terms of the like Eddie said, the pass pro. He's got to keep his hands inside when it comes to the run game. I think that's where he kind of gets into trouble, and you got to work on that leverage. But I'm expecting big things from him because again, you talked about in terms of the 2 tight ends the past 2 seasons that have kind of showed up and showed out. That's a part of the offense. Certain offenses, tight ends don't really matter. For Texas, they do matter. Obviously, he went to the transfer portal, found himself a home, and I think his star is heading up, bro. It's an upward trend for him. So I'm expecting big things.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of speed on the boundary there at Texas, right? Having that big body to show his numbers to the young quarterback could go a long way. And again, I think Sark does a great job of utilizing the tight end position. As you mentioned, Drew, just kind of double down on it. Most college programs don't. They don't really involve the tight end in their offense. So like the landing spot for Andrews, think he's going to improve his draft stock. Let's move on to number 8 among the transfers we think will certainly improve their draft stock. Let's take a look at Isaiah World. All right. Making the trek from Nevada to Oregon. All right. So significant jump. I think that's a significant jump. Hadley, what are your thoughts? Why do you think World is going to be a success in Oregon and ultimately climb draft boards?
Well, the success part, I think, is a wait and see. I think he bolstered his stocks because of, he's going to a Oregon program that has a lot of great offensive linemen around him. I think it's one of the best offensive lines in college football. But like you said, it's a big jump going from Nevada to Oregon. But the size and athleticism, he got the things you can't really teach. He's big, he's fast, but he's got to get more reps. We got to see him with more reps in the Big Ten, because he could either rise or he could really get exposed. Going against Big Ten competition week in and week out. But like I said, the size is overwhelming. he was a man amongst boys in Nevada. It wasn't even fair, how he just get guys, pancake him, drive him back into the second, third level. Man, he was just big and physical against the competition that he faced. He battles with his hands. He could be more consistent with them. I think he sometimes had the low hands a little bit. I like to see hands ready and waiting to fight, but sometimes he'll keep it low. And when it's low, you got to get him up. This can't stay low. It can't start low and finish low. So, that's something he need to work on. But he could pull and use the speed to be forced to create lanes. So pulling, getting to the second level, the athleticism, it shows, the physicality, it shows in his tape at Nevada as well. But like I said, get those hands higher. He's more of a striker that someone is going to attach, right? Like he'll strike you, but you got to kind of have your hands on the defender and just not strike, because after that you strike him, he could get to the quarterback still, man. You kind of have to attach and hold it. Don't hold him, but just hold him long enough to for the quarterback to find a receiver. And like I said, his hands are kind of all over the place, especially in the pass game. He needs a lot of work and a lot of off balance after contact. I think his weight distribution needs some work as well. So I think there's a long way for him to grow. He has a lot of talent, a lot of potential, but the technique and things like that we need to improve quickly, especially once they start facing Big Ten teams.
Yeah, I would agree with some of your assessment, most of your assessment. I would say, let me say this. He started his career at right tackle and moved over to left tackle. Spent most of his career at left tackle. He was, what was it here? I got here, an all Mountain West honorable mention 2 years running. So he just missed it there. I didn't see any true leverage issues because he's 6'8", 312. I mean, you just automatically you got to
anticipate.
Yeah, you already know. It's maybe I got to watch a couple more games, but I didn't see any in the games that I did watch. I love his ability to get his hands out. Like Headley said, he does, he does, what's the word I'm looking for? Hit you with the jab, right? And to me, watching him, he's more of an aggressor than he is, an absorber, as for those who don't know. He's more, willing to go out and get you. Sometimes he'll miss his spot or won't get to his spot when he's dropping back into pass coverage because he's more interested in getting his hands on you first. I do agree in terms of his ability when he's in the run game. He's for a guy that's 6'8", 312, bro. I expect you to attach, latch, and drive people through the rafters, bro. And that's something that I don't necessarily see, and that I think is missing from his game. I agree with Headley in terms of his ability to kind of keep his balance. It can turn into shoulders, head, upper body over knees. You know what I'm saying? So he's, a little off balance at times. I think that's just him being a little too aggressive. Got to get that under control. But I think for me, because he's going to Oregon, where they do develop their guys, they want a particular kind of guy, right? I do believe he is a good mover. That's obviously why, they accepted him, bringing him in from the transfer portal. I think he has to do a better job of finding his guy once he gets moving. But he moved a lot in Nevada, did a lot of pulling, and he looked good doing it at his size. But I think they're going to get the best out of him. I think his best football is ahead of him. And I think he went to the right program as far as I'm concerned.
Appreciate it, Dana. Yeah, Drew, I think your question as it relates to whether or not the leverage will be a problem, that'll get answered this fall, right? Where he's just not going to be a clearly superior athlete week in and week out, right? There's going to be more parity facing Big Ten competition. So I think if that is an issue and something that he needs to address, we'll find out pretty soon here once the games get underway. All right, let's move on to number 7 in our top 10 list of transfers we anticipate to do work this year. I'm telling folks about World for a while. No DPs on it. All right. Who we got? I think I want to say it's another tight end. I think we have another tight end here. Max Clare, who is making the trek from Purdue on over to the Ohio State. So there was a little bit of a question or a little bit of a conversation that we had in preparation for this particular show, this segment in particular, was whether or not we wanted to drop 2 tight ends in. Because again, we've already talked about it, right? Most collegiate programs don't necessarily leverage the tight end on a consistent basis. Ohio State, obviously known for the receivers. You know what I'm saying? They tend to kind of steal most of the glory there in terms of that passing offense. But Max Clare, the top tight end in the transfer portal, big production there at Purdue, adds another element, right? He certainly is a weapon, but adds another element here to this Ohio State offense. Now, we're looking at a different quarterback type of situation. Will Howard, obviously being very experienced, moves on to the NFL. You still got the dog out there in terms of Jeremiah Smith. We're going to talk about Ennis and Carnell Tate. We're going to talk about some of these other guys that were very highly touted prospects and have played well when given their opportunities here. So how do you figure Max Clare is actually going to bolster his stock where there may be more mouths to feed this time around?
I mean, watching the tape, bro, I think you'd be a fool not to get him the football, bro. Because watching him, a guy moves like a sleek, thin, tall, wide receiver, bro, at the tight end position. Eye-hand coordination when tracking the ball is one of the best I've seen thus far in summer scouting. Now, obviously, I'm not deep in the weeds, so you can take that as a grain of salt.
What you mean? What you mean you're not deep in the weeds? What you mean?
I'm not at the 100th wide receiver, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm not at the 100th tight end. You know what I'm saying?
All right, man.
No, I'm not there, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I thought you was lacking. I thought you were lacking
still
out
early.
here.
No. We ahead, but it's still early. We ahead, but it's
all right,
still early.
Man.
Give a brother some grace, bro. Give a brother some grace. Man. You know what I mean?
We got to push in this 2025, bro. We got to push.
We do got to push. Yes, I got here while using spacing and leverage to win routes, breaking in and out versus linebackers and safeties. I think he's a really smart blocker. I think, when we talk about guys knowing themselves, he's not going out there to maul nobody, bro. You know what I'm saying? He's the kind of guy that's going to seal and wall off defenders. He's going to get the position, going to get the angle, going to cut them off. If he's going to use power, it has to be speed to power where he's, in motion, you know what I'm saying, before the snap, or at the snap, he's running, you know what I'm saying, AKA pulling, whatever you want to call it, to get to his guy and put a shoulder into that guy, or, being able to extend those arms and apply that power, because he's just not going to overpower a guy. If I'm a defender, what I'm looking to do is have a guy right over him at the snap, not giving him that angle, right? Because that's, I think, where he will struggle, because he's not a power guy. But I think he's more of a receiver than he is, because, you talk about the tight end position in terms of being a wide receiver / offensive lineman. I think he's a little bit more of a wide receiver, obviously, than he is a tight end. But I think he can be a big-time weapon. I think he can be a big-time weapon, one of the biggest weapons at the tight end position in a while for Ohio State.
That's big. That's big, because I'm kind of with Juice a little bit. I like his game, but you got a more inexperienced quarterback coming in, and you got a lot of weapons out there that we're going to speak about. Carnell Tate, your boy Jeremiah. You got all the boys out there.
The tight end is the quarterback's best friend, bro. What do you mean?
Yeah, you're right, but you know how it is, man. It's college football.
Maybe in the league.
No, but
he should be. He should be, right? Mm-hmm. But they're gonna force feed Smith. They got to.
Oh yeah.
How can you not?
Smith. You know what I'm saying? Tate, yes. You got a lot of weapons out there, but I do like his game also, man. Like you said, a Purdue transfer. So Ohio State's probably very familiar with him. The first thing I noticed wasn't even his receiving prowess, man. I just like how comfortable he is as a run blocker. Like Drew said, he's not mauling you, but he moves very well. He positions himself really well, and I think that's where he's going to be needed a lot in Ohio State. Like you said, they have a lot of receivers out there as well, so we gotta do something else. Maybe I'm not getting all 6, 7, 8 targets per game, but I'm gonna help in the run game. And then when he gets the football in his hands, he has some juice. He's not blazing, but he has some juice. He has some separation ability. I've seen him get vertically. I've seen him break off at the stems as well, so he can run routes at his size. He has bursts and tough running after the catch. And I said times where he had a step on defender, and I want to see that quarterback throw it to him, but he just wasn't targeted, man. It was kind of frustrating to watch a little bit at Purdue. I'm like, he got a lot of targets, but I'm like, he's open again. He's like kind of open all the time in one-on-one situations. So, I do like that about Max Clare. I think as a run blocker, I think he's better there, but as a pass blocking, I think that's kind of what he needs to improve on. More strength in the pass blocking game, and he has solid athleticism, but I don't think he's overly fluid. He's not one of those guys that could like break down a defender and create extra yardage that way. He kind of like glides through, runs hard, and has some speed and burst. So he's an interesting prospect to watch. But I don't know if I'm expecting big numbers like you're saying, Drew. But I think he's a quality football player.
I find it interesting, and I appreciate the insights. I certainly appreciate the attention to detail when we talk about these tight ends and their blocking, right? And certainly at the next level, in particular, you got to be able to hold up. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult to get on the field with any consistency, right? The pass blocking aspect of it from a tight end position, particularly a guy who obviously excels in the passing game, you just don't see a lot of max protect these days. You don't see guys staying in like that, in a 2-man routes and stuff like that. Like, you just don't see it very often. So I don't put a lot of stock into that, particularly if you're as effective as Max Clare in the passing game. But it's a good nugget though. It just shows the attention to detail, and depending on where he lands, right? I do think it's kind of a minority type of situation among NFL teams, but I think depending on where he lands, it may be more prevalent than in another particular landing spot. So something to keep an eye on there as well. Let's see here. Oh, let me get DP's comment right here. Blocking is hit and miss in college. For example, I was told that Clemson Pro Day, their tight end coach did not teach their tight ends how to properly block. I believe that. I think that's why Brenning Stools slid, because he's too good. He's too good otherwise. I think that's why he slid, DP. But I think that illuminates a bigger conversation with respect to coaching, and I'm sure we'll unpack that more as we go through summer scouting. Let's turn our attention to our 6th-ranked player on this list of transfers and guys we think are going to bolster their draft stock. We got Mekhi Hughes, right? Transferring from Tulane, making his way to Oregon. So Oregon obviously loading up here to make another run at it. Mekhi Hughes is coming off of 2 very impressive back-to-back seasons. He was the engine. Obviously Darian Mensah, the quarterback, he's highly thought of as well. Transfers to Duke. Pretty significant payday there as well from an NIL perspective. But what does Hughes bring to this Oregon backfield, Headley?
Production. He's going to produce. You lost Jordan James last season, a very good running back there. And you get the Tulane transfer. It was a good get, good landing spot also for Mekhi Hughes. We spoke about that Oregon offensive line, and the unit is a pretty good unit, so he's going to have running lanes. He was, like you said, very productive over there at Tulane. Nose for the end zone. I noticed that on tape, man. He gets close to the end zone. He's falling forward. He's doing the maneuver in his body, just fighting for extra yardage, getting into the end zone. I love the way he presses the hole. And he's one of those guys. He can get outside the tackle, but man, he presses the hole and he kind of does his work between the tackles, man. He runs hard. The feet is always moving, never stops. And he gets those yards after contact, gets those tough yardage. And the burst and the pace he plays with. Like, running back pace, man, is a very important thing. When I'm watching the running backs, it's like, how you moving out there? How you coming off your blocks? How you reading it? Like, some guys are just too quick or too slow. You just got to have the right amount of pace to kind of maneuver through the trash and get to open field. So, I think Mekhi Hughes does a really good job of that. Areas of improvement, I did see him catch the ball at the backfield, but he's not rocking guys out. He's not dynamic in that nature. And the game-breaking long speed, I don't think he has that in his bag as well. Just a tough, solid running back. He's going to get you those tough yards in between the tackles and help matriculate the ball down the field.
Yeah, Ellie, you hit a lot of my points.
Hey, man,
I'm gonna reiterate.
that's what happens when you go first, bro. You got to be creative now.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah.
No, I got here. He is the epitome of production, bro. 265 carries last year, 1,401 yards, 15 touchdowns. And then you talked about his past games, 19 receptions, 176 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then the year before, 258 carries, almost 1,400, 1,378 just shy, and 7 touchdowns. He runs behind his pads with strong and a solid frame. He has no real desire to go east and west, only north and south with little subtle movements as he's working through the trash that's, the blocks and stuff. And he's just, he's just heading north and south with those subtle movements to kind of keep the defenders off balance or to get them out of place so he can either run through them or run by them. His movements are smooth and kind of seamless. He can make them small and much harder as a target as defenders kind of close in on him. I know he's 5'11", 210, allegedly. And like Ellie said, doesn't have that breakaway speed. I do believe he could be a bell cow in the league. I'm not aware of any injuries if he's had that much production. Obviously, running backs, when they get in the league, you want to use them, and then kind of, okay, that's it. You know what I mean? So
thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service, right?
Service. Yeah.
You have been honorably discharged.
Right.
But yeah, I think Helly's correct in terms of wanting to see him more in the pass game. I don't think that's what you're going to use him for. That's how you're going to see him. It'd be nice to see that, but I don't think it's necessary, especially the way the league is going in terms of the running backs. You got your guy that can, play on third down, can catch passes out the backfield. You know what I'm saying? You get cute with them, put them in the slot, do different things. But this is an old school style running back in Hughes.
And I've mentioned it over the course of the last couple of draft cycles, and I think you see it playing out more and more on Sundays. The pendulum is swinging back. I don't know that this type of back will get a backfield to himself necessarily. As you mentioned, Drew, you kind of have the guy that you want to leverage in the passing game available to you. But I honestly, I think teams understand that most opposing defenses just aren't prepared for a certain level of physicality, right? Linebackers tend to be on the lighter side of things. They struggle with power. They struggle defending it, right? And God forbid, you put a lead blocker in front of a guy like Hughes. You know what I'm saying? Like that's going to be an explosive, despite the fact that he may not necessarily hit his head on the goalpost. So I definitely agree with the notion that his skill set plays, despite the fact that it's more of an open and pass first league. Again, that pendulum seems to be swinging back, particularly when it comes to these teams that are playoff bound. They know how to get downhill, and Hughes certainly is capable of that. So we'll see if he can build on already a very strong career in Oregon. That takes us to our fifth prospect on this list here, and we're going to go to the quarterback position. We got John Mateer, highly sought after, coveted quarterback, transferring from Wazoo. He is now the quarterback of the Oklahoma Sooners, and the Sooners obviously struggled mightily on the offensive side of the ball. I think just a healthy Mateer will go a long way in terms of just making them more competitive in general. But what do you think it does specifically, this move to Oklahoma, all things considered? What does it do specifically for Mateer's draft stock in your mind, Drew?
Well, they're calling him, and Headley said it in the chat. They're calling him Baker, bro. Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield with upside. Baker Mayfield 2.0 is what I got. You know what I'm saying? He's a 5-star. Like you said, highly touted. I think he might be the guy for this team, bro. He has that pizzazz, that aura that you want from the quarterback position. When he walks in the room, things kind of just change, bro. You know what I'm saying? When you watch them on the football field, bro, they looks like them boys out there, Washington State was respecting them, bro. You know what I'm saying? And so you kind of want that from your quarterback, because I was watching who they had out there last year, and not necessarily it was his fault all that much, because they ended up firing the OC over there. But I saw some things I didn't like, both from the guy that ran out there first and from the guy that ran out there second. And obviously that guy has transferred out. But when you watch, is it Mateer? I want to make sure I'm not butchering his name. Mateer?
Yeah.
Has nice zip on the ball, bro. He can throw from a couple of different platforms. Has the ability to take off if need be. And if you're not careful, he might hit his head on the goalpost, bro. Ball leaves his hand quickly. And he seems to handle pressure well. Doesn't really phase him or move around in the pocket, move outside the pocket, eyes down the football field. So I think they got themselves a guy, bro. I think Oklahoma has got themselves a guy. And I think, didn't Jay Knott transfer over to the school too for Oklahoma?
Yeah.
So they got themselves another guy. They're kind of building it up there, slow and steady. It's unfortunate
man,
the SEC.
Yeah, unfortunately, right? But like you said, bro, like when you watch him, man, you see swag. The swag, it's just pouring out of him, man, and that's why the Baker Mayfield comps is there. The size this Baker Mayfield is, the ability to run and get extra yardage on the ground, the fearlessness also is there for Baker Mayfield. So it's a pretty easy comp there. Like you said, he sat 2 years behind Cam Ward at Washington State. Got his opportunity, and he looked good. You know, he could get the ball out of his hands quickly. Like you see different arm slots, different platforms. He kind of plays with that gunslinger mentality. He would throw off the back leg, and it works sometimes, but that's something to watch, man, because especially when you get to the next level, it's not going to work as much. But, you know, he has that in college. I think he's still going to do it in Oklahoma. He's going to look really good doing it. Like you said, swag, confidence. Has a good feel for pressure also. You know, I noticed that the pocket presence is there. He kind of knows when things are getting a little sticky, and he knows how to evade, get around the outside, you know, get to the perimeter and make plays on the move. He could throw the ball on the run, play outside of that structure, use his legs, like I said, a lot of rushing yards. Even after contact, he can break tackles as well. He's just a tough football player. And I saw some good touch on his deep ball as well, but then I've seen sometimes it's a little underthrown and you know, gets intercepted as well. But the areas of improvement, man, the size is going to be questioned. We know that coming in, but he has a lot of bad habits. You know, you see a lot of bad habits throwing off the back leg. I've seen him throwing across the body. You know, when they talk about interception-worthy throws, he has a lot of that on tape that I've watched so far. Just making bad decisions in traffic. And then, like I said, those bad habits, it needs to be fixed. But the potential, the talent, the swag that you need from the quarterback position, it's all there, man. So I think, like you said, Oklahoma got a guy, and they kept my boy Deion Burks there. They still have him there, and they brought in Jaden Ott as well. So I think it's going to be that trio right there leading that Oklahoma offense.
You know, I wonder if it's confidence or hubris, right? And also the fact that, you know, you feel that inherent pressure to carry the team. This, you know, some of the same questions that we had, not we necessarily, but that were exposed or expounded upon with respect to Cam Ward is what we're talking about here with Mateer, right? Cam, I think, realized at Wazoo is like, I got to make a play. I got to make a play, right? We're not playing great defense. You know what I'm saying? I got to put up 40. I got to put up 30, right, for us to have a chance. And I think some of these quarterbacks obviously internalize that, and they do too much at times. So it's one of those things where you just kind of you don't want to necessarily coach that confidence out of him, but you got to temper it, right? He's got to understand when to kind of pick and choose his battles. So I think this is a really good litmus. The talent is there. But I think this is a really good litmus because he's going to face some really good defenses as well here moving into the SEC. So interested to see how Mateer fares, albeit there seems to be confidence among this group that he will rise to the occasion and help his draft stock. So let's move on to number 4. And number 4 actually is the third entrant on this list from the Oregon Ducks. So Oregon certainly heavy in the portal as they gear up to make another run at it. We got Dylan Thieneman, the safety. Purdue had some guys. They had some guys, and of course they've lost them to free agency here. So, what are your thoughts, Hadley? What do you think about Thieneman? What he can do for this Oregon secondary, this defense overall?
Yeah, like you said, third guy in Oregon. They stacking up over there. And it's the second guy that we have that Purdue lost. You know, to Big Ten teams as well. So I think Thieneman, when you watch his game, like you watch the 2023 tape and then you see him like free safety on top of the roof, single high, just the cover ability. He can cover from sideline to sideline, just the range that he has. And you're like, okay, this guy's a guy, man. And he got the teleporting abilities as well to come from up high and, you know, make a play like, you know, towards the line of scrimmage. And it's like, okay, he got speed, he got closing ability as well. And then you put on the 2024 tape and it kind of put him more in the box, more of like that strong safety type of role. And, you know, although he did well there, Like I think his home should be at free safety and coverage. Like I said, that closing ability and speed to the football is borderline teleporting abilities. And if you don't know about the teleporter, man, that we kind of coined Raekwon. That was Roquan Smith, man, from Georgia, bro.
Mm-hmm.
We saw his teleporting abilities from the second level, but Dinnerman kind of does it from the third level. He'll come up and bang. He'll sacrifice his body as a tone setter. And like I said, really good range, especially in the deep thirds. He could get to sideline to sideline. The thing that I think he needs to work on a little bit, he's really fast. He gets there, but you kind of don't want to overrun plays. Sometimes he'll overrun plays, and as a safety position, that could be a death for you, man. That could be the other team scoring touchdowns because you're the last line of defense. So you got to rein that in a little bit, wrap up, make the tackle, and just tackling in general, I think can improve. Kind of throw his shoulder in there, wrap up. I think we're going to talk about a guy that, like Drew said, man, the tackling and safety position from this guy is impressive, man. We're going to talk about him a little later, but I think that's what the enemy has to get better at. But moving to Oregon, moving on the big stage, if they let him roam and play the pass game and do things like that, and he can get his hands on the football. So, I'm expecting a big draft rise for him.
Yeah, I definitely expect going to Oregon. The coaching over there is I think it's on a different level than Purdue. By the way, I looked at Purdue, bro. Was on one game last year, bro.
Dang.
Why the hell would you say, bro? Like, why, bro?
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. But you think about it though. Over the last two seasons, we have Scorton clearing it, right? Then you got Claire, you got Thineman. I know I'm missing another name or two. Like it's been an exodus out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's unfortunate for Purdue, but obviously Oregon is a beneficiary here.
So Haley kind of talked about it.
Drew, you got anything else on the safety? Or you don't want to talk about the safety?
No, I want to talk about safety. What do you mean?
I mean, I was waiting for you to get back in there.
No, I was letting you finish, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I was done, bro. You got the gaps. You can't have the gaps, bro.
There was no gap. Was there a gap?
There was a yes, bro.
Was there a gap?
He was getting to it. He was getting to it, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to let it breathe a little bit. You got to let the track breathe just a little bit, bro.
Nah, man, nah.
That's suspense, man.
Bro, you don't want no dead air, bro? You don't want no dead air? Can't have no dead air? That's what they say on terrestrial radio. Can't have no dead air, man. That's fireable offense. But no, so watching him, initially I was like, I don't want him to play free safety, bro.
No,
I need him down in the box in the action, bro. You know what I'm saying? Coming down, laying wood. You know what I mean? Pause. Taking away the short to intermediate game. His ability to just close. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to say this, right? Because it has to be said. And I guess I'm always going to be the one to say it, bro. You don't necessarily see, you know what I'm saying, this kind of guy move the way he moved, bro. You just, it's just not a thing, really, right? And he got it, bro. And
I think it's becoming more common.
Yeah.
I think
it's coming. Yeah,
it's coming up. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, there's a couple of guys I guess we can name. You're right.
Yeah.
They're making a comeback. Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. He's just another guy in the short line of those guys, soon to be long line of those guys, hopefully, that showcase their skills in terms of their ability to move, come downhill. But I think I want him as an interchangeable guy. I don't think I want him just back there playing free safety, because he offers a lot in terms of playing in the box, but he offers, like Haley said, in terms of his range on the back end. So I think if you pair him with a guy that's kind of similar to him, I think you can kind of play some games, do some different things, because I do like his ability to come downhill. I like his ability to time up the blitz and get in the backfield. I want him to kind of mix it up. So I think you might limit his ability if you're just having him play the free. Because I saw a lot more than that I did see him in the box, unfortunately, at Purdue. But I think at Oregon, they're going to mix it up, because I know they lost 2 safeties, if I'm not mistaken, over there. So I think he's going to get his shot.
Yeah, I just think the tackling overall has to improve then, if we want to see him there more.
I think he does that because I don't think he's the biggest. So I think he's trying to get there. as fast as he can. You know what I'm saying? I think some guys do that when they're smaller. They're a little bit more aggressive, a little bit too fast, a little bit out of control, because they realize I got to get to him before he get to me. Because if he get to me, I'm not 100% sure I can take him down, right? So I think that might be part of it. But you know
who comes to mind for me as you describe Thunderbird here is Jesse Bates, right? He's a quintessential free safety type. You know what I mean? That obviously can wreck a game plan in terms of your passing attack, right? The amount of ground that he covers, his ability to track the football, understand what the offense is trying to do, take advantage, bait the quarterback, as you describe him. But then in the same breath, it's not that he's incapable of tackling, but it's probably the one area where it at least it was a weakness. I'm not sure about the Atlanta version of Bates, but certainly in Cincinnati, saw him trying to come from depth, fill, and it's an explosive. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of take the good with the bad. Interesting. We'll see how it plays out, because I think you want ultimately an interchangeable safety. You don't want to be in a situation where, okay, I can only play this guy in the box, or you know what, he's only effective in a deep third on top of the roof and a split safety or a single high type of look. It just kind of puts one hand behind your back defensively if you're in that particular situation in this day and age. So we'll see how that plays out. But he's a difference maker. He's certainly a difference maker. So Oregon got another good one here. Let's move on to number 3 on our list. Top 10 transfers to improve their draft stock. Got Eric Singleton Jr. making his way from Georgia Tech over to Auburn. And obviously a talented player. Why this move? What is it about this move in particular that has you guys confident about him moving up draft boards?
I think he's going to get more touches, more looks over at Auburn. It's plain and simple. I mean, he had some. He had production over there at Georgia Tech. I mean, he had 48 receptions, 714 yards, 6 touchdowns. And then he had 56 receptions, 754 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 21 carries for 131.
He had a bigger freshman year, right? It was a bigger freshman year, right? Yeah. As freshman, he burst on the scene. Yeah. So maybe that's why he transferred. He was like, y'all ain't feeding me the football. I'm gonna go over here to Auburn. I'm gonna go over here to the SEC.
Yeah. And just. I'm good. Can I go, bro?
Go ahead.
This is why I was polite, bro. The last time, you know what I'm saying?
Listen. No. I was going to ask you a follow-up question because I didn't want any dead air. No. You're fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Good. All right. In my notes here, I got he's a no-nonsense guy in terms of getting into his route. He will race the defender up the ladder of the tree, bro, only to come back down, race him back down the ladder of the tree. Like, he is. I'm not here to shake and bake. I'm not here to disguise anything. I'm here to get up this thing, get down this thing. I'm here to beat you with straight speed. So I think there's some work in terms of being able to kind of break things off with a little bit more subtleness, just a little bit more to change up what you're doing in terms of your routes. Because as far as I'm concerned, in terms of the routes, he's all speed and nothing but speed with a little bit of twitch in there. He reminds me of a running back once the ball's in his hands, and because he's not easy to get down once the ball is in his hands. So run through people, run by people. He does offer some kickoff return ability. Got here, like I said, he's not a clean route runner. I would like to see him go up and get a football. I don't know if it's necessarily in his game, but I got here. So I made up a word. I was trying to work on this, bro. I was trying to work through it. I couldn't quite get. I don't know if I necessarily like it, but let's work through it. All right. So I said right now he looks like sets, bro. Okay.
What? Hold on. What do you say?
Sets.
Well, where was that?
Sets.
SETS.
S. So here's the bad part. Bro.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I forgot what the acronym means. So when you're talking, I'm gonna work it out. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna let you know. But I got here. This is the type
What?
of receiver.
You gotta follow him, bro.
Let me get through it, bro. Let me get through it.
Yeah.
This is the type of receiver that can take a bubble screen to the house with vision, patience of a running back, but explosiveness of a wide receiver in the open field. That's what I got.
Got you, bro. I like it, man. So that you say sets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got to put a little extra on it when you say it at the end, bro.
I had a little acronym for him too, man. I call him a triple R, man. You know what a triple R is, bro?
No, it's triple
all-purpose weapon, man. It's receiving, rushing, and returning, bro. Like he got all that in his bag, man. He's a triple R player. He get it in a variety of ways. All-purpose guy. You just got to get the football in his hands. He's coming over from Georgia Tech here, playing with Cam Coleman. You know, Cam Coleman's the outside, the guy that's going to stretch vertically. And Eric Singleton, like you said, I did see some things in his route running, just little intricacies, breaking off at the stems a little bit, not rounding off his routes. Because he's one of those guys that's, like you said, it's all about speed. He's going to separate, but he's going to separate either vertically or he's going to separate horizontally, man. He's a former track star, the 100 meters, big time speed. So that's how he wins, man. Like, and he's smaller guys, 5'10", 180. So you want to press him. Like, if you don't press him, it's probably night. He's going to beat you across the field horizontally, or he's going to beat you vertically down the field as well. What else I have here? Open field prowess. You know, he can read his blocks really well. Catch those screen passes, accelerate, got that extra gear in acceleration. And like I said, the route running intricacies and the undersized is kind of what's going to get him. And you know, some people like his route running. You know, I read through the internet. It's like he's a route runner. I don't see it all the way, but if he becomes that route runner that I'm trying to see, he's going to shoot up draft boards, bro. Because just the speed alone, how he tracks the ball down the field as well. And like I said, he's a triple R player, man. He can help you in all three areas of rushing, receiving, and returning.
I hope he doesn't rest on his laurels in terms of his explosiveness, right? And we've seen this. We've seen this story before. Guys really, you know, a blur, right? And then he's not just track fast. He's an actual football player. You put the ball in his hands and he runs behind his pads and he can make guys miss. He can break tackles. Like you love all of that, but he can't consistently separate against quality defensive backs because he's not a route runner, right? Because of those finer details, the nuances associated with being a technician in terms of route running. I think that's the reason why you got guys who run 4.6 who can't be covered,
right?
But can't get open. You know what I mean? So I really do hope he continues to work on that area of the game because he's exciting. It's very exciting to watch. All right, we have our final two, the top two here in terms of transfers we think will improve their draft stock as a result of said transfer. And at number 2, where are we? I got lost. Here we go. At number 2, we got Fernando Mendoza. Now, Mendoza has a bit of a hive. He does have a bit of a hive in terms of individuals who really feel like, you know, the lion's share of the NFL draft community and prognosticators and so on and so forth may be too low on Mendoza. And I might be one of those individuals. So help me out, guys. Why is it that first of all, I'm too low on Mendoza? And what do you think about this transfer in particular that's going to help bolster his stock?
Yeah. He's a transfer from Cal. Is this a second transfer from Cal? Was it tied in from Cal also? Is the second transfer from Cal? Okay. Yes. Actually, I want you to go first, Drew, because you actually mentioned Mendoza first, and I think you said you had some words for him, but I didn't know if that was positive or negative, man. So I want to see where you ultimately come out on Fernando Mendoza.
Are you stamping him, Drew? Are you stamping him?
That's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
Yeah.
You love him?
You stamping him?
You love him?
Let's put me on the spot. No, I need to watch more games before I stamp him.
Okay.
But I did watch him against Miami. I made sure I did that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Make sure I got that in there. That was actually his worst game, by the way. It was actually his worst game.
You think so?
No. Well, statistically, let me not say tape wise, but statistically, it was his worst game. But he ended up coming out of the game. I didn't watch that game at all this year. I just know Miami should have lost. I'm still trying to figure out how y'all won that, dude. Like,
hey,
bro,
damn, That's how
I was
winning.
watching it. I'm like, man, if I'm juiced, bro, I'm not watching this. I'm turning this SHI.
Bruh.
I'm turning it off, bro. I'm
Man,
out, bro.
I was hot, bro. I was so hot. But I kept watching. I saw the comeback, bro. I kept watching.
You
Yeah.
different. I've been watching it down on the ticker, and when they got closer, I flipped it back. I've been a fan again, bro. You feel me? Nah, but the first thing that I noticed with him is that he will stand in the pocket, bro. Stand down the barrel of the gun, stand down. It don't matter who's coming at him, bro. He finna take that shot. He's gonna get that ball out. He's gonna throw it accurately to whoever he's trying to get the ball to. And I appreciate that. And I think there are people who aren't gonna like him because he's boring, bro. They ain't no splash. Ain't no sexy, bro. You know what I'm saying? We just every night, bro. It's chicken and rice, bro. Is it pollo con arizo? I think that's how you say it. Let me get my wife in here. Let her say it. She say it smoothly. You know what I'm saying? Somebody down in the comments, let me know. He's just methodical. He's patient, and he's sure where he's going with the football, man. Has a command in the offense, understands where he's going with the football. You saw a lot of that with him throwing to his Andries. I want to make sure I'm saying his name right. Getting it out to him. Super confident in his guys to make a play. He will throw guys open if they are covered. He will throw it to guys who are covered. He has a little anticipation to his game. Although over that count, they didn't really allow him to get it down the football field. A lot of throws were short to intermediate. That's just kind of how the offense worked. And then when they kind of took their shots, they kind of rolled him out, on a two-man route, and he was able to get it down and make the appropriate throw and put it where his guy could make a play. There were a lot of one read throws. I can't blame him for that. The only thing I'm looking for when you make those throws is it accurate? Because that's all I can really evaluate in terms of those. But it was a combination of some one read throws, some rub routes that kind of rub guys open. He kind of knew where to go with the football, and then a couple here and there in terms of going down the football field. But I like what I saw from him. I want to watch some more games, but he's growing on me. I'm not going to stamp him yet. Let me get about 9 games in, and then I'll feel a little bit different.
So you're cautious on him. You love him? I still don't know the answer.
I like him. I like him.
Okay,
I like
you
him.
like him. You like him.
Like you said, he's on an upward trajectory, bro. Upward trajectory.
Yeah, he's coming over to Indiana. It look like Indiana's doing a lot of work in the portal. Got a whole new right side of the offensive line. He got new tight ends, and but his guy gonna be Elijah Surratt. I think having Surratt there in that offense is going to help Fernando Mendoza a lot. Surratt's going to always be where he needs to be, catch the football. The thing I watched about Mendoza, I noticed he gets the ball out of his hands quickly. And sometimes it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. It's a good thing, but when you're hitting your first read all the time, it's like I need you to go to your second and third read sometimes. But he'll keep his eyes down the field with defenders barreling on him. I think Drew mentioned that as well. But he does that kind of to a fault as well. I don't think the pocket presence is there. I think he's taking too many hits. I'm not sure how many times he got sacked, but I'm pretty sure it was a lot of times, man, because he was always on the ground when I watched him. He's not the fastest guy, but he does have that escapability. He kind of keeps his eyes downfield. He could deliver on the move as well. He throws a really good touch towards the sidelines, got a good zip on the football. So everything from a measurable standpoint, man, 6'5", 225, good arm, good touch, good zip on the football. He has all of that, man. And the offense in Cali is very decisive as well. It's a new offense. He's going to Indiana, so we'll see how he acclimates there. Can he gel quickly with Surratt and those guys out there? But like Drew said, too, I noticed it time after time. He kind of operates in this bubble. Just right there in the pocket, statuesque sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, he has a little speed to get outside the pocket, but he's like staring down the barrel, which is a good thing. But if everyone on the team and the defense knows exactly where you're going to be on the football, it's going to be easier to rush you. They know where you're going to be. They know you're not going to really do much else than stay right there in that bubble. He kind of has to escape that bubble, step up a little better. And sometimes I see him predetermined passes as well, kind of throws it in traffic. He kind of gets fooled sometimes. You kind of fool him, especially against zone defenses. You know, man defenses for team quarterbacks, sometimes it's easy. You kind of know it. You kind of design the play, get the ball to the open receiver. But when you have those zone defenses and they kind of disguise things and they fall out of blitzes or come, and it's kind of confusing to a quarterback, I think he gets confused sometimes there. So, you know, we'll see his progression, man. I like that Indiana offense, what they did last year with your boy, and they get a new quarterback here. So we'll see how Fernando Mendoza, how he does this season.
I think it's a West Coast offense over there, India. I could be wrong, but I think it is. I can't.
Yeah.
I'll go back and check the tape. But yeah, Mississippi Pratsky, 9 games in a 12. Yeah, man. Yeah, I want to be sure before I stamp them because y'all gonna hold me accountable if I'm off, man. But I understand. Should we wait for Juice or should we?
We get to the next guy, man. We done on Mendoza. Oh, there you go, man.
Yeah, we done.
That lo-fi. I don't lo-fi.
You do got the
Radio Shack.
I don't want
right there. All right, man. We get to the last guy, Drew, and I'm gonna let you go here, man, because you said his name. You said he's that dude. I watched the tape, and I concur with you. He was on our last segment. I forgot what our last segment was. We talked about him last week. And we're gonna talk about him this week. And we might talk about him next week as well, man. David Bailey, transfer from Stanford to Texas Tech. And Texas Tech, they're doing work too. They got another pass rusher with David Bailey, but David Bailey makes our list here at number 1.
Yeah, the Texas Tech is doing their Ole Miss. They're gonna be the Ole Miss of this year in terms of loading up in the transfer portal. I think they have 20, 21 guys. They loaded up. They got some money over there. They got some oil over there. They got that oil money over there. So, you know, that's different money, right? So I said it last week, and I'm probably going to say it every time we talk about this guy. Stanford did this guy a disservice in terms of not having him on the football field. Is unacceptable. This guy's WAR score or whatever we're going to call it in terms of his ability, when he's on the football field, positive things happen. And every time Stanford took him off the football field on games that I watched, bad things happened. So I'm hoping Texas Tech, if they do take him off the football field, they got somebody that can pick up where he left off. But if not, you know, this is a guy who, listen, at his size, you know, because he's what was 6'3", I got him at 6'3", 240, allegedly. He's comfortable coming off of the edge. I think that if you're going to play him, I think you got to do a little bit of outside linebacker, dropping him back into coverage. You know, if you want to get cute, do a couple things because he can, you know, drop into coverage. He can move. He can cover man-to-man coverage. Like, I think he has that ability. But for me, mainly, this is the guy who I want coming off the edge because of his speed and his hand usage. And he's got a plan. It's not going to be the same plan every time when you're watching him go against those offensive tackles. You know, he's keeping those guys on their heels. He can convert some speed to power. He can play some games up front. You know what I'm saying? He kind of understands how to run those stunts and text games up front. So and he closes out quickly, like gets down the line quickly. He can be a blur. I'm not saying he's the teleporter, but I'm saying he can close out quickly. If he sees blood, he probably gonna eat. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
What else?
Got more?
Oh, no, you go ahead. You got it.
Yeah, no. I agree with you, man. Everything that you see, I see on tape as well. Like you said, Texas Tech got a whole new defensive line. They got 4 new starters out there. They trying to build it through the portal. Kind of like you said, Ole Miss did last season. And to me, he's the best pure pass rusher in the class. You know, I haven't watched everybody yet, but the guys that they're touting at the top, this guy's a better pass rusher. When I say pure pass rusher, that's just from the element of getting to the quarterback, rushing the passer, because there's some things in this game, you know, in the run game, he could clean up, he could get better there to be more of a complete football player. But versatility is kind of what he brings. You know, they'll line him up at the edge, off ball. I haven't seen him line up as a nickel backer there at Stanford. He's got that juice around the edge. You know, he's a blur. It's very evident. He just pops off the screen with speed, explosiveness around the edge. He got that hip flexibility also to kind of like flatten around the edge. He's not just a blur around the edge. The quarterback could step up and make the throw. He kind of flattens, gets back to the quarterback, closes into the ball, top notch. So that's kind of what he does in the run game. If guys are going to the edge, he's on the opposite side. He can run down the ball carrier towards the sideline. And to me, he was obviously Stanford's best player, bro. But it was like, why is he out the game so much? I don't understand it. I don't know what the coaching was doing. You know, coaching matters sometimes. Maybe it's something we don't know why he was out the game a lot. But, you know, it didn't make much sense to me because when he came in there, man, he showed that motor, that effort. Like I saw him saving touchdowns, bro, like 40 yards down the field. And that's kind of important to see. Like he's not going to give up on the play as well. And like you said, if you want to get cute, he could drop back in coverage, very fluid. He got that versatility, man. He's one of those 3-4 outside linebackers at the next level. Not the biggest guy. And you do see good reps in the run game as well with Dave Bell. I'm not going to say he's terrible in the run game. I thought
not liability.
A guy like last year, like Pierce, I thought he was a little bit of liability from Tennessee, but I think he's decent in the run game because of his intensity. It's just a size and length. I think that's what it's going to be questioned a little bit. Can he set the edge consistently? But other than that, man, I have no questions about his pass rushing ability. To me, he's probably at the top of the class at getting to the quarterback in the pass game.
And I stamped him 4-star. Let's go.
Yeah, that's a segment. Yeah, stamp.
All right. That's going to do it. That's going to do it for our top 10 transfers. We expect to make a lot of noise this year and bolster their respective draft stock. So, as we switch gears here, got an interesting question.
Yeah,
here.
question.
Yeah.
Check it out.
The running back, the running back field, or the
yeah. I assume it's the backfield. I assume it's the running backs. To be clear,
because they drafted your boy Tootin and LaQuint Allen. Tutton, I was calling Tootin. They got him Tutton, LaQuint Allen, and then they drafted Bigsby last year to go with ETN. I think ETN is the guy out of the backfield. You know, he can run the ball between the tackles as well, but his explosiveness and what he does in the passing game, I think he's going to be on the field, obvious pass situation, third down situations. And then you got Bigsby. I think Bigsby and Tutton, I think those guys could handle the rock early in the downs. And I just want to keep ETN healthy, man, and keep him going, bro, because he's a dynamic weapon that could be used as a receiver out of the backfield in the run game. He's just so explosive, man. So we got to keep him on the field and healthy all season long.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that notion that ETN is probably the back that will have the most touches among that group. That shouldn't come as a surprise, right? The thing with Tootin and Tutton, I actually like him a lot. I as a ball carrier, I like him a lot. Identified him transferred from North Carolina A&T over to Virginia Tech. Had some really eye-opening types of performances. There's some ball security concerns there, though, and that could be the one thing that kind of limits his opportunities. You know, I don't know that. I think in a limited capacity, Bigsby flashed, but as he was more and more was put on his plate, despite the fact that they did have, you know, offensive line issues, there just wasn't enough pizzazz there, right? There wasn't enough explosiveness. He wasn't making guys miss on a consistent basis, aside from a game and a half where he played particularly well. So I think with the new coaching staff, they're going to try to figure out, you know, who takes advantage of the opportunity. But again, overarching, I think ETN certainly is a back that you want to focus on there in Jacksonville.
I think too. I think because me and Rob was talking a little while ago, but he was telling me Bigsby was coughing up the football, bro. So we got Tutton coughing up the football. Great, we got Bigsby coughing up the football. You know, and Allen, you know, that's a guy that's, you know, superior in terms of catching the football out the backfield. So I think they, you know, whoever's not coughing up the football between those two is probably going to get the run, right? He's
going to get the opportunities. Yep.
I think Tutton has a little bit more, like Juice was saying, in terms of the juice and in terms of, I'm not saying necessarily making people miss, but he can run through people because he's a powerful back. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. Y'all got some good backs, man. Just you have if one guy's not performing, you got the next guy to kind of take his place, right? So there's gonna be some competition there. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
it's a good plan for them in that backfield.
All right, let's turn our attention to some more summer scouting. All right, and we're going to zero in on the 2026 draft eligible prospects from Texas, Clemson, and Ohio State. I want to start with Texas. And don't really have a particular order in mind. I want you guys to obviously share your notes and your analysis thus far with respect to quite a bit of talent here on this Texas Longhorns roster. Of course, we'll talk Arch Manning, but I kind of want to finish the conversation regarding the Texas prospects with Arch. So that's the only real, qualifying factor here. We'll hold off on the Arch conversation until we work through the rest of the prospects. So, Adley, Drew, whomever, want to get us started?
Yeah, I guess we can start on defense then. Let's start on defense because we're gonna save Arch to the end, and I think Texas got one of the best defenses in the nation. Like they're stacked on defense. You got Ethan Burke, the edge rusher. He's been on our radar for a couple seasons. You got Colin Simmons. We're not going to talk about him. He's not draft eligible. But he might be the best defender on this Texas defense. So let's start with Anthony Hill, bro. Let's go with Anthony Hill Jr., the off-ball linebacker there, number 0, and he's a baller, bro. It don't take much tape to recognize how great Anthony Hill Jr. is. He does a lot of things right on the football field. He could break down, make tackles in the open field. He could drop back in coverage, play those passing lanes. He got really good versatility. He brings that heat, green dog and pass rushing, getting after the quarterback. And you see that on the football field, man. He can go sideline to sideline. I'm not sure what his athletic numbers will be. I think that might be the only thing, if it's not that great, that could kind of drop him down. But he's one of those rare off-the-ball linebackers where I expect him to be in the first round. I think he's a first-round talent. He's got to be careful with his eyes in zone coverage in a passing game. I think sometimes he could get fooled. He could fall for the bait a little bit. But, not much weakness to his game, man. I just got to see the combine numbers now, because once he checks that box, yeah, put him in the first round all day long, man. I'm a big fan of Anthony Hill Jr.
Yeah, bro. He was exciting to watch, man. He was fun to watch. In my notes here, I got reads the run game very, very well. Gets downhill. He's not guessing. He knows what he's looking at. He'll beat the offensive lineman to the spot. He looks long, lengthy. Wouldn't be surprised if people are surprised and blown away by his reach or his wingspan. Maybe I'm off. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm at 480p. I don't know, but it looks like he's long and lengthy as far as I'm concerned. Sideline to sideline guy. He does close quickly to ball carriers. I do believe he's great in man coverage, covering the running backs, the tight ends out in the backfield. He takes great angles, good leverage versus wide receivers, kind of understands, where he needs to be, what he needs to be doing out in coverage. He does drop back in the zone quickly and effectively and efficiently. More often than not, he's taken away the initial window for the quarterback. It looks to be a sure tackler for me. Good timing and blitzes when he's coming downhill. I will say this, though, in terms of, and I said it earlier, so I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth, so give me a little grace here. But he can be fooled in the run game in terms of misdirection because he's looking to make a play so quick, so fast. And usually that happens to guys that kind of see it, go get it. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes you can get him, you can fool him. And then just talking about his production, I thought, look at the tape, and then I said, all right, well, let me go look at the production to see what that looks like. He wasn't, in terms of outside of tackles, he wasn't super productive. Your pass deflections, your interceptions, your forced fumbles, like he's not that type of player. So I think that's one thing that I do want to see him do. And then I didn't see him do too much stacking and shedding, but I guess if you're beating the offensive lineman to the spot, you don't necessarily have to do that. So, but yeah, man, he's linebacker 1 right now, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep, I concur with you, man. You want to get in there on Hill Jr. or you want to go to the next guy, Juice?
Let's go to the next guy. Let's keep it moving.
All right. The next guy I want to talk about, man, he might not be the next best on the defense, or he might be, because he's a guy I kind of wanted to talk about last week as a stamp, because I'm so impressed with his game, man. And every time I watch him, he's just making plays, man. And that's Trey Moore. No, it's Trey Moore. Taft too. Taft's a baller too. We're going to get to Taft. I think he's probably the next guy up. I know there's a high for Malik Muhammad as well, but Trey Moore, bro, it's like he got overlooked because, you know, they had all those boys on that defensive line last season, Sorrell and all those boys. You got the 6-star Colin Simmons wreaking havoc out there, number 1. But every time I watch Trey Moore, number 8, man, they got him listed as a weak side linebacker, but I like him as a pass rusher off the edge. He's a UTSA transfer. He's extremely productive there. Came to Texas last season, and he just keep flashing. In a room full of ballers, bro, if you're flashing and you're making plays, I'm like, okay, you know, it's somebody to watch right there. You know, legitimate pass rushing moves. He could bend around the edge. He could flatten, get to the quarterback. I love his first step. Use his speed around the edge as well. So he's a guy, man, that I want to stamp, man. Can I stamp him right now? I just want to stamp him right now before, you know, everybody, you know, start talking about him and becoming aware of him. Yeah, before they catch up, man. I want to get on Trey Moore early. He's 6'2", 250. So he's one of those guys that doesn't have the big side, but these guys are coming in vogue right now. The 6'2" pass rushers that can play off-ball linebacker as well as rushing passer.
Listen, man, I hate to step on your shot, but hey, listen, at 250, NFL teams are going to take it. You get after the passer at 250 because you got all these tweeners. Like yes, there was once upon a time 250 was considered a tweener. I don't know that it is anymore.
Yeah, it's changed.
I don't. It's changed. It's changed. Yeah. So yeah, I'll take that. If that's what it is, I'll take it. I hear you there. Yeah. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, you said it in terms of his production, bro. He had 8 sacks in 2022, 14 sacks in 2023. That was his last year at UTSA. And he had 5.5 last year. I don't think he was a full-time starter. What is he? He wears number 8, correct? Am I off? Yeah, for Texas, right? So you know, he flashes. You can't miss him. He's similar to David Bailey, in terms of the way he wins, in terms of his speed, his quickness, his hands, explosive off the edge, high motor. Like I don't want to see this guy dropping back into coverage. I want to see him coming off the edge. I want to see him closing out quickly. I want to see him causing havoc in the backfield. Yeah, man, I know he was at UTSA and you got 14.5 sacks. I mean, that's an easy get in the portal, bro. You know what I mean? So, yeah, bro. I love him.
Let's get to the next guy. You mentioned earlier, Juice, the safety, Michael Taft. I was calling him Taffy, but the E is silent, huh? It's Michael Taft from Texas. And when you watch him, bro, like, he's always around the football, man. Drew talked about it earlier about those guys right there, but those guys are making a name at the safety position. Thieneman, you got Taft, and, you know, watched him in passing, and like I said, he flashed, always around the football, very instinctive. He kind of appears to be like a student of the game. He kind of knows what's happening before it happens. He's relentless to the ball, and he's always like poking around the football. So not just getting his hands on the football in the passing game, bro. If you're running or the receiver after the catch, he's going to try to knock the football out, punch it out of the force those fumbles, get those pass breakups. And he's a former walk-on, bro. So, you know, man, he got that grit, man. He got the grind in him. And he keeps impressing me, man, because he's a ball magnet. You know, once upon a time, I'm like, man, like certain guys, like the ball just gets to him, bro. Like he ain't really doing nothing. But then I realized, bro, it's a special art. It's a special skill to always be around the football. It might look like it's a mistake, but it's a lot of tape watching. There's a lot of understanding. And there's a lot of instincts that get you to the football.
Yeah, you can tell, bro. He's smart. I think he allowed Makuba to do what Makuba was doing because he was being responsible and being where he was supposed to be. And so when you have players that kind of play kind of a similar position at that safety position and they do their job, you have guys like that can do his job or do more than his job when you talk about being a playmaker, right? And so, yeah, man, I want him down in the box. I want him making plays that short to intermediate, just showing up, showing out. And maybe that's the reason why Anthony Hill wasn't necessarily making plays and getting the production because Taft was doing it for him, bro. So don't worry about it, bro. I got you, man. Don't worry about it.
That's a good call out, Drew, because I think that unselfishness is significant. I think that's significant. You know, it is still very much a team sport. There's a lot of individual matchups within it, but you got 22 guys on the field at any given time. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to playing defense, you got to do your job. You got to do it at a high level, but you can't do everybody else's job. That's going to create an issue. It's going to break down the integrity of your defense. So understanding that you got a guy like Bakuba who obviously is capable of making plays and all this talent around you. Sometimes you got to do the dirty work. Sometimes you got to be responsible. It's not your play to make, right? Just be where you're supposed to be. So interestingly enough, I think this year Taft will even have even more opportunity to make splash plays because of some of those guys moving on to the NFL level. Let's keep it going. Texas obviously very deep on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I got next guy I got here. We could get to Malik Muhammad. We get to the corners for Texas. But I want to get to the other guy, Jalen. Was it Gilby from Texas, the nickel cornerback? Because I'm watching Muhammad tape and Gilby just keeps flashing to me, man. He's an undersized nickel corner, but he's one of those dudes that got the heart of a 6'4" dude. I don't know what he's listed at, if it's 5'8", 5'9", but he's undersized at the nickel position. But when you got that 6'4" heart, man, it's impressive to me. He'll fight through blocks. He either fight through blocks or beat blocks on those wide receiver screens. Yeah. It's just that energy and effort level, man, to kind of like beat them with speed. And if you got me blocked up, I'm fighting through it. I'm shedding this block. I'm doing whatever it takes to get to the ball carrier and get the tackle, because that's what he does. He puts hands on wide receivers. He has very sticky coverage. I love when he blitzes, those nickel blitzes, closes to the quarterback quickly, and just a feisty football player, plays way bigger than his size. So I'm a big fan of his. Not sure how early he's going to go in the draft, but I just love the competitiveness, man, and how he plays football. And then the other corner, Malik Muhammad, he's being touted as one of the top corners in the class. And I came away a little, I got to see more. Like when I watched your boy from Clemson, Terrell, I'm like, okay, I like him. I watched your boy from Tennessee. I was like, okay, I like him as well. When I watched Muhammad, I was like, man, a lot of off coverage. Barron did it too, but Barron does it in a different way, bro. Barron is more physical, click and close ability. The thing about Muhammad, bro, I just saw his feet get stuck. It's like quicksand sometimes. In breaking routes, like he just gets beat there too often. His feet didn't really look right, especially in the Clemson game. He's kind of slipping. Maybe the cleats. Maybe he had to change his cleats or something. But there was getting worse. Yeah, I'm making some excuses for you, boy, because I didn't see it. I didn't see it all the way. It's his time to shine this year, bro. Barron's not there anymore. You're supposed to be CB1 right now. You're going to get the best receivers on the opposite side. And he just got to be careful because, the feet, and then he gets a little grabby down the field as well. I want him to turn his head, trust his technique, get your head around, locate the football. But sometimes he doesn't get that head turn around, man. So there's a lot of question marks I have on Muhammad. But I did see some reps where he slid inside, played that nickel, locked up Ibuka across the middle of the field. He could turn, he could run. I think those test numbers are going to be good for him. He's an athletic guy. I just want to see more technique from the feet and moment of truth as well. So that's something I'm looking at. He's going to be a guy I'm going to be really keeping my eye on him, because I want to see what he brings this season for Texas.
I think the DB you were mentioning. Sorry, Drew. I think the DB you mentioned is Gilbo. I think it's pronounced Gilbo.
Okay.
I think it's Gilbo.
Yeah, I'll mess with him.
Yeah, he's from PAT. He one of them. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So yeah, good player. Go ahead, Drew.
PAT, what's that?
Port Arthur, Texas. You don't know about Bun B?
You don't know Bun B?
You don't know Bun B?
No, I know Bun B. I know that's what
oh, okay.
No, to speak about Muhammad, so let me say this, bro. When I'm watching him, and I said this last week, he's an athlete playing corner. And I don't see enough technique. Let me say this. I don't see consistent technique, because like when he does win, he looked like one of the best corners in the country. When he don't win, you be like, what are you doing? Like how we go from this to this is almost Jason Marshall-esque Jr. Isn't Jason Marshall Jr.? It's almost that, bro, because you got the size, you got the speed, you got the measurables, like you got all of this, but it's not consistent. It's not always on. And I don't know if because you got all those playmakers out there, you got all these guys making moves, that you kind of rest on your laurels. You're not in it. I don't know, right? And so I got a bunch of question marks, right? And I need you to start checking some boxes. I need you to start being more consistent because he's got it, bro. But more often than not, for me, he don't got it, bro. Just other guys out there making plays, and for whatever reason, I'd have been keying on him the whole time. Oh, this is the guy we need to be picking on. You know what I'm saying? If from the offensive side, but hey, man,
you guys both said it. Heather, you mentioned, at times it's like he got the cement blocks on his feet, and Drew, you mentioned the technique wanes, right? So one of the biggest things that you're looking for, obviously, from a corner is how they transition, right? And when a receiver breaks off that stem, how do you get out of your back pedal? How do you get from that side saddle to driving on the football to competing at the catch point? That's a huge proponent of playing the position. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just focusing on that because of what you both mentioned, tying it together. That if you can't do that on a consistent basis, or if you're having technique issues and you don't get those things ironed out, and perhaps he will, not just in terms of what he does at Texas, but getting NFL coaching, perhaps, you leverage all of the other skills and you say, okay, these are the types of things that we can improve upon, we can coach. But that's when you start to get in a situation where, well, is he scheme dependent? Is he scheme specific? You know what I'm saying? And that ultimately can impact your draft stock. You know what I'm saying? I think in today's game, guys with obviously space, full package. Well, does he kind of lean one way or the other? Again, as I mentioned, that can impact his draft stock. So we'll keep an eye on Muhammad there. Any more defenders here for the Longhorns, Headley? You're on mute, Headley. You're on mute.
Mute. Yeah, we mentioned Ethan Burke, physical edge rusher. He is a worker bee, man. He just wins, with just motor, intensity, fight. He's one of those kind of guys. Also, I think Jelani McDonald is another corner to watch as well. Who else you got, Drew? You got anybody else on the Texas defense?
Got him on mute. No. That's it. Tapped out.
Sounds good. I like it. Let's talk a little offense. Yeah. Let's do it. Right, they've lost a lot of talent over the last couple of drafts. They have. So,
especially the wide receiver position. If you want to start there, because no more Adonai Mitchell, no more Xavier Worthy, no more Matthew Golden. Your other boy that left, man, he fell off. The Georgia transfer. I can't even remember his name right now. But no more him as well. Bond. So,
Isaiah Bond.
Isaiah Bond. Ryan Wingo is the name right there, but he's not draft eligible. So I guess we could talk about DeAndre Moore. He's a guy that he just improved every year. You could tell that he's working, he's putting in the work, and it's his time to step up, man. He's one of those guys that he lives kind of in the slot. He wins down the field, intermediate, deep down the field. Has some speed on him as well, concentration, catches the football really well. So it's just interesting to watch him and Arch. Let's see how they develop, and let's see how he does when now he's the man. Like you said, all those names are no longer in the Texas wide receiver room.
Well, I mean, that's why we added tight ends, bro. That's why they got Jack injuries. You know what I'm saying? We already talked about him. Let me can I move over to the running back room? Can we get over here to the guy that hurt Juice's guy's draft stock? Although
Weisner,
I think Blue got hurt, so I think that was part of it. Correct? Blue ended up getting hurt.
Yeah, but it was also they wanted a physical presence with Weisner. He offers that more than Blue. I think Blue is the pass catcher, fast football player, but I think they wanted that physical element with Weisner. That's what he brought to the table.
Yeah, for Weisner here, he's the coach's dream, bro. He don't miss the hole, bro. He don't miss the cutback. That man got great vision and might be, again, no. Let me say it correctly. His vision might be one of the best in the class, bro.
Say it with your chest.
There
you go.
I gotta hedge my bet. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want nobody marking the tape.
Come on, man.
No, but he runs with he runs at a pace where his feet don't stop once he has the ball, but slow enough for his blockers to set up, but fast enough to bounce off incoming defenders to keep it going. It's a little bit of poetry in motion, as Headley likes to say. He's a lot to deal with because he runs behind his pads. Allegedly, he's 6 foot, 200 pounds. He looks to be all of that, if not more. He has some explosiveness to his game, especially when he sees green grass. You know, you'll have those backs that kind of will explode regardless if there's green grass or not. He's kind of one of those kind of a little bit patient, a little bit, you know, kind of revving up. And then when he sees the green, he's out the gate. Don't necessarily know that he has the breakaway speed that you want. But I think he might be faster than Hughes, but I think Hughes is the better running back that we talked about earlier. He does run a little high, but it doesn't seem to affect him at all. So, you know, that's the thing. He had 2 fumbles. I think he had 226 carries. So I don't know if you want to do the math. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'm not going to kill him for it or unalive him for it, if you will. He does leave a bit to be desired in the pass protection. To be 6 foot 200, I'm looking for you to smack folks in the mouth, bro. I'm looking for you to make defenders think twice when they're free and you're back there and they got to meet you in the hole or in the backfield. So, you know, and it's not a lack of, you know, technique or anything like that, or because he knows where to be, he'll meet the defender. But I've seen him a couple of times get pushed back into the quarterback's lap, bro, and that's unacceptable. 6 foot 200, bro.
See, talking about Sean Alexander. He was special, man. Elbow pass, bro. Like that boy there. Why his name no Sean Alexander, bro? I think Alexander, he was a little boring, but he had athleticism to his game as well, bro.
He did.
I know you ain't disrespecting. I know that's your guy, Mr. C.
He was subtle. That's all I got. I mean,
you got CJ Baxter coming back from injury as well.
I forgot about CJ. My bad, CJ. My bad.
Yeah, you can't forget about him. Highly recruited prospect. And last guy, let's get to Arch, bro. Let's get to Arch. He doesn't have
2
the
names.
weapons.
I'm just gonna mention 2 names before we get to Arch, though. Along the offensive line, so you got Kojo at the tackle position, and then you got DJ Campbell.
DJ Campbell
at guard. So there's a couple of guys up front to keep an eye on as well. But yes, let's delve into the Arch conversation.
Yeah, I think Arch, he doesn't have the weapons like Ewers had last season. A lot of those guys are out the door. They did bring in the tight end, like you said. You still have more. You still have Wingo. Wingo's a baller. But yeah, Arch is one of those guys where it's like it's a lot of hype. It's a lot of hype. We haven't seen him on the field that much. He hasn't started that much games. I think he started a couple of games when your boy Ewers went down, but he got a lot to prove. We got to see if he could live up to this hype because, you know, he's a Manning. He has athleticism. He did come in and you know, run the football for them. They'll bring him in a short yardage packages, get physical. He has the athleticism. He has the arm strength, really strong arm. So he has all the physical things going for him. He just hasn't played much football. So this is his year. This is his year to shine in the Sarkisian offense. It's a great offense to run. So I expect big things from him this season. I expect him to be the QB1 when it's all said and done. That's my early favorite to be QB1. But like we said, like we don't know yet. We don't know yet, man. It's a question mark on Arch still.
Yeah, it is a question mark. I would agree with you. But if there's a quarterback that can do it with less, it's him, bro. Like, could you imagine yours playing with this talent? You know what I'm saying? It's not the talent of last year. Can you imagine what that looks like for Texas? You know what I'm saying? That they're probably running the football a little bit more if that was the case. But with Arch, I think he can do it in terms of his ability. The little that we saw, you know, there's not a whole lot to go off of, but he's got it, bro. And when he stepped on the football field, there was a little bit different of a feeling, a little bit different of a pace that you saw when he was on the football field. So you know, it's all eyes are going to be on him. And I think he can do it, bro. I mean, it's a lot of pressure, bro, but he's coming from the Mannings. It's always been pressure. So, you know, I don't think it's anything he can't handle. I think he'll be fine. But understand, Arch, it's championship or bust, bro. That's all I'm going to say. Juice frozen?
There's no question about that. Am I frozen? I seem to be doing okay on my end.
No, you.
Yeah, you seem good now.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Buffering, a little buffering. As we talked about last week, Arch has a ton of pressure on him. We to a man. We've seen enough of the flashes to understand that he has the physical tools. What Headley mentioned last week, I think, is what is most important right now. Now with that inherent pressure of being the man, you know what I'm saying? He was coming in as a pinch hitter last year, but now he's the man. Can you do the things between the ears, not necessarily the physical aspects of it, but between the ears on a consistent basis, right? Can you work through your progressions? Can you move safeties with your eyes? You know what I'm saying? He's still a young in that regard. So that's kind of I'm confident that Arch has all of the physical tools. We have all copped to that. It's the final points of the position now, and now he's going to actually get an opportunity to demonstrate whether or not he can do that. And to your point, I don't know that there's necessarily a decided advantage, across the board in terms of the corresponding talent. There's some, but I don't know that it's at the same degree as it was over the last couple of seasons on the offensive side of the ball. So certainly interesting to watch. All right. What's next? Let's go with Clemson. Let's turn our attention to the Tigers here. And I think it probably is in order to start with the defense again. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that defensive line, man, it might be the best in the nation. You got your boy TJ Parker. A lot of people have him as edge one right now. You got Peter Woods on the interior. I think he's a top 5 talent in this class. Big fan of Peter Woods. And then you got K-Part. K-Part's a guy that you mentioned last year, Juice. And the big physical, bad intentions. He has all that in his bag. But I'm gonna start with my favorite, bro. I'm gonna start with Peter Woods from Clemson. This guy is he's Christian Wilkins all over again, man, for Clemson's defense. Like I said, he kind of looks like him. Around the same size as him. They'll line him up close to the center. He can move laterally down the line. He can get to the ball carrier. Like, a guy that big is not supposed to be getting running backs on the edges the way he does consistently. That quick twitch ability for his size. You see him, man, with the swim move, accelerate to the quarterback. So he offers some juice as a pass rusher, similar to Christian Wilkins. He's just an athletic big man. You see him read the screenplay. Man, just the instinctiveness, make a play on the ball. He could that push-pull technique. I call it the peekaboo. Chris Jones does it a lot for the Chiefs, where he kind of just holds the defender there, and like he can get rid of the defender anytime he wants to, but he's waiting for the running back to get a little closer, throws the blocker off of him. And get to the running back easy, man. And he can win off the edge. You see a big man. I said this about my boy Dorless before, man. And he's gonna get his opportunity in Atlanta this year, hopefully. But, when a big man could go to the edge and play against tackles and win just because of his athleticism and his quickness to get to the quarterback, man, it's so impressive, bro. So you can line him up from the 0, the 1, the 3, the 5, the 7. Like, he can line up all across that defensive line, man. And the only thing I did have on him was I noticed, like, when he doesn't win early and quickly, he could get stalled out a little bit. So I think he has really good hands, but I need him to coordinate it more with his feet more. There's the hands and feet to be more coordinated, just to be that ultimate player. But that's just nitpicking at this point with Peter Woods, because, like I said, to me, he's a top 5 player in this draft class, bro, because very disruptive for his size, very quick for his size, physical, power football player, plays the run and the pass game, man. I love him a lot, man. Oh, you on mute, bro.
I think this was the team that I created I coined the phrase, the line of scrimmage discriminator. I think this was the team because it was Brian Breezy back in the day. And I think Peter Woods is the next in line to do it for the Clemson Tigers. For the notes I got here, for a guy who weighs in the 3 bill neighborhood, he plays like he's 275. He just doesn't stop. Super high motor to the point where he'll miss sacks, tackle for losses because he's just moving a little too fast because he sees blood, right? Hands are heavy, quick, with touch or a touch or two, excuse me, or with violence, bro. Like it's fun to watch, bro. Like you can't miss him. Number 11 for Clemson, routinely making first contact with the hands in the right place. Normally has the natural leverage due to his height, and he's able to control the offensive lineman at first point of contact. I do agree when he's not able to kind of win right away. At times he can be stalled out, but majority of the time he's winning and he's in control, right? Has the ability to surprise double teams, bro. This man be out here getting, bro. You weigh 3 bills, bro. I don't know how you get skinny and narrow, bro. But at times he's able to do that, split the double team, and at times if he's not able to split it, he's able to kind of stand up, take on one, and kind of use that one against the other to keep the other one off him. I've seen him do that a couple of different times. So he's got some work in terms of winning against double teams, which is nice. I got here. He is he's one defender obviously that you won't miss. He does retrace his steps. I know Juice likes defensive linemen that do that. He does that well. And he'll run things down from behind the line of scrimmage. And he's got good lateral movement too, bro. You know, with everything that he does well, he has good lateral movement. So, yeah, Peter Woods, bro, he is the guy, bro. I know people want to talk about TJ Parker, but Peter Woods is the guy, bro.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we could get to TJ Parker next because I don't want to, go in too much on him because I still think he's a first-round talent. He's a first-round talent, has big-time potential. But what you think about TJ Parker, man? What you like about him? What you think he could get better at?
So let me I got pulling up my notes here. I got here, bro. I'll say this. He got some production. He's got 6 forced fumbles, bro. So that tells you in terms of his ability to kind of cause some chaos, cause some havoc when he's going to make the tackle. For me, he's got to win first contact. He's got to make first contact first, because if he doesn't, the way he wins is kind of strange to me. If he doesn't make contact first, I think he's kind of dead in the water for me. And so, and I know that's a big part of, I guess, is how Clemson teaches it, is we want you to make contact first before the offensive lineman can get to you, because obviously Peter Woods is dominant in that category. But I think if Parker's not able to do that, I think there's going to be some struggle. It's just, I thought I was going to see more from him, and I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, a little bit too. Kind of how they touting him, man, because he got physicality. 6'3", 265, got the power. He got all that physical makeup that you like to see, and that's why I think he's probably going to still be a first-round pick. We saw guys like Michael Williams, was still a first-round pick, even though things that he needed to work on as well. And I kind of think TJ Parker is a little bit better than Michael, to be honest. And I think he's going to have more production as well as a pass rusher, because he already could get after the quarterback as well. But they're setting him up on the edge. They line up at the 4-eye, the 5 technique. So offers some versatility to this game. How I see him win a lot, to me, he's kind of like in the stunt game, with doing games up front, get him moving laterally before exploding to the quarterback. He kind of wins with strength through contact. He kind of pushes linemen back, to the quarterback, and kind of detach at the end. So it's no real like pass rushing moves or hand counters or anything to his game yet, which could be a scary thing, because once he develops that, once they coach him up on that, and he can add that to his physical, his speed, his size, and everything, then he could be a legitimate top 10 talent in this class. I just want to see a little bit more in the run game sometimes. And it depends on what games you watch with him too. Some games you watch with him and he looks really good and very disruptive. And in other games, you see him get washed out of plays. You see him get beat in the run game. And sometimes I see him, he has a bad habit of like taking on the block instead of making a play. Sometimes the play is there to be made, I know you want to take on the block for your linebackers. It's a good thing to do. But if you can make the play without taking on the block, just go make the play, bro. So I see him do that sometimes. So it's just little things he needs to work on. And, he has that juice. Just got to work on the pass rushing plan. Get some more pass rushing moves. And then I can say, okay, you're a top 10 guy in this class. But right now, I have him maybe, 15 to 32 the second half of the first round.
He's got to clear. He's got to disengage, clear. Disengage and clear. Make the play.
All right. Keep him moving. I thought you was coming to transition us, bro. We're going to keep him moving,
I'm waiting to hear your thoughts on Terrell. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting to hear
Avion Terrell. Yeah, the corner, man. And I'm not going to make the same mistake with AJ, bro. I'm not going to make the same mistake with Avion. His brother, little bro, man, really got some skills. Really have a lot of athleticism. The same things you see in AJ, you see in Avion. They're similar football players. He breaks on the football well. In those in breakers across the middle. I love him across the middle, man. Has the speed. He gets into the passing lane to make those deflection. Even when he's initially beat, bro, like he could catch up. He got the maker speed to kind of catch up, turn his head around, get his hands on the football. So, he could play down the field. He could play click and close in the intermediate parts of the field. And then he's willing to come up and put a shoulder and make a tackle, man. A lot of these corners nowadays, there's a lot of business decisions being made. And not him, man. He'll come up, make the tackle as well. So to me, he's complete. He can play on the far end, deep down the field, in the intermediate, and play in the run game as well. So right now, he's a cornerback 2 for me, man. I like his game a lot.
Yeah, they got him at 5'11", 180. And just kind of watching him, he has a solid frame. And when he comes up and attacks the football, whether it's a smaller receiver, bigger receiver, he's able to kind of separate the ball from the receiver, whether, he's going attacking the ball or he's hitting the receiver. This is a guy who had 12 pass deflections last year, bro. So, he's getting his hands on the football, plays much better when he has space between him and the receiver. He's adept at reading the receiver's hips and closing out that space. Does that, as Headley would say, quick, fast, and in a hurry. I'm gonna go as far as to say this, bro. Say he might be the best tackling corner in the country, bro. Because he's coming up and it's over, bro. And he's gonna do it any which way, however he got to do it, bro. It may not be pretty, but he's taking whoever that is to the ground, bro. He also has 3 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery. So I'd like to talk about that playmaking gene. I think he has it in him. Like Headley said, I did put long speed as a question because at times he would get beat. And there was a couple times, bro, where I'm like, it's beat and the ball was a little bit underthrown. He's able to kind of catch up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way he's gonna make a play on the ball, bro. And he's able to knock the ball away, get in there, bro. It's crazy. I'm like, how did he even?
I don't think it's a long speed. I just think it's just a transition from his back.
Transition from the okay. Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of that going on with him.
And I think once he turned and run, though, I think he's comfortable in locating the football and attacking it and taking it away. I like him a lot, bro. Like if it wasn't for your boy from Tennessee, he might be cornerback 1 for me, bro. Bro.
Same.
I remember when he entered. I remember when he entered the collegiate ranks, bro. I remember, and he, you're saying that he's listed about 180. Man, I don't know if he was 160. I don't even know if he was that. He may have been around 160 when he entered the collegiate levels, and he was small. And that you mentioned his ability to get the ball carrier on the ground. He's worked physically. He's built himself up, and I think he has even more room to build himself up. So I'm a fan of Terrell. I've been watching him for a long time now, and he has just continued to get better and better and develop. And obviously he's towards the top of the list among the corners here in the 2026 class. So, all right, let's keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, like you said, with McCoy, the corner from Tennessee, with his injury coming off of that, I wouldn't be surprised if Terrell is the eventual cornerback 1, first corner off the board. Yeah. I love McCoy's game, but he's just not on the field right now. K-Park, man, let's talk about your boy, Juice. This was your boy last season. Physical interior player. He got that pop, got that power, defibrillator hands. That's what he has. He can extend those arms, drive defenders into quarterback lap. I want to see him on the sled, bro. I want to see him on the sled in the combine, pushing that sled back, because that power, that feet, just keeps moving. And then sometimes when he doesn't win with his initial push in the run game, he can still disengage, get to the ball carrier. You just kind of guy, you just don't want to be alone in the alley with him, man. He's very, very physical, bad intentions, drop you on your head, bro. Like, he kind of pushes the limit in that regard, bro. But I just want to see him work on his hands a little more, get them more activated, man. But he's one of those guys that's going to be really influential in the run game for a football team.
And he retraces his steps well too. And he's not a guy you're gonna see a whole lot of production from. He's gonna be one of those guys that he's gonna allow other people to eat, because he's causing so much disruption and taking on some double teams and whatnot. I think maybe if he gets them hands right, he gets the defibrillator going, plugged in, get the battery charged more often, he might have a little bit more production. But I'm expecting a little bit more from him. I think he had like 21 tackles, something like that this year. So I'm looking for a little bit more from him, but we'll see. We'll see.
He didn't play a lot prior to this season. He really did not have a lot of run. And I think it was a good call to go back to school, right? We are anticipating Clemson, making a run here at things, making it back to the playoffs. So that all makes sense from that perspective. But I don't think he necessarily had the season we may have anticipated coming out of summer scouting last year. The thing that you mentioned, Drew, I think that kind of resonates with me, is that because of those hands, because of that raw power, that ability to jolt and not just jolt, bro, embarrass and fold up interior offensive linemen, you'd hope to get more pass rush upside out of it. But he may just be what he is, right? Which could be an upper echelon run defender. But that's okay. You know what I'm saying? If that's ultimately what it is, that's okay. You just got to slot him appropriately. So I think we just kind of maybe have to adjust our expectations, and it may be more, he's a run stuffer, right? That will flash, every once in a while, but he doesn't necessarily have, that pass rush upside that I think folks were kind of looking for from him. So I like it though. Beat people up front.
Yeah, that's all I had on the defensive side. They do have a transfer. Surprise, surprise. Clemson has a transfer. Another Purdue guy, Will Helt, edge defensive end for them as well, number 13. You had another guy on the defense, Drew?
You're on mute, Drew.
Mute.
No, I didn't. But you surprised me, bro. That's transfer, bro. That's
transfer.
Bro.
They got one.
What do you mean?
They got one. Like the first of its kind, bro. I think Dabo feels like he has a good football team. I think Dabo feels like he has a good football team. We certainly tend to agree with that, especially with the way Klubnik took his step. I think he kind of just, okay, let's push our chips to the middle of the table here and make a legitimate run at this thing. Yeah.
Speaking of Klubnik, let's get back to the offensive side of the football. Bryant Wesco Jr., this 2027 class, bro, it's just ridiculous. It's another super sophomore right here, Wesco, not draft eligible. So let's get to the other receiver, man, Antonio Williams. This is your guy, right, Drew? You love Antonio Williams?
Yeah.
You like him?
Yeah, I do.
You talk to me about him, man. Talk to me about him.
I do. I forgot to mention in the what do we call it? The top 10
the transfers?
Yeah, transfers.
Yeah.
Tired, bro. My number one receiver is Nick Anderson.
What? In the whole class?
Yeah, no class right now.
Hey, bro, that's a hot take right there, man.
Yeah.
Hey, DP has some strong feelings about Nick Anderson too. So I wonder where he kind of slots him in. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
I think wide receiver is wide open.
Yeah, it's open.
Wide receiver is wide open.
It is. It's wide open.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. All right. 5'11", 190, allegedly. He's so I got here. It's funny. Surprised he's not bigger, because to me, he plays bigger than his size. He's not scared of contact. That boy will go over the middle. He's not Randy Moss in it. You know what I'm saying? No alligator arms. I'm willing to go over the middle, willing to sacrifice my body. not scared of contact, make the contested catches, guys all over his back, all over him. He's going to put his hands out there and make the catch, gets his head around quick and fast in a hurry, as Heather likes to say. Quarterback's best friend, finds the holes in the zone, sits down, appears to have the strong hands like I've talked about, runs well after the catch or with the ball in his hands. And he surprised me with his ability to move in the open field, as he can make guys miss or strong enough to break tackles. I'll put Percy Harvin light or without the scary explosiveness, obviously. Has some twitch and quickness to his game too. But I didn't see too many reps where he was being pressed. So I don't know if teams fear that. College, you don't necessarily get that. Guys a little scared, whatever. But I'm looking to see him handle some press coming off the line of scrimmage to see what that looks like, that release package. But I like him. Yo, mute.
There you go. Mute. All right, man. We got Blake Miller, the right tackle here, from Clemson. This is a guy we spoke about a lot last season. Summer scouting throughout the year. I think the Juice is a big fan of Blake Miller's. He started right tackle for them as a true freshman. Just like a lot of these Clemson guys, they develop these football players from young. Like they don't mess with the transfer portal too much, and he has a lot of experience, man. I don't think he's missed a game. I don't know if he missed a game last season, but up until last season, didn't miss a game. Moves very well in the run game or the pass game. Kind of gets in that optimal position. Athletic, light on his feet. But the key word there is light, because sometimes the power game will get him. Physicality will get him. But I was very encouraged in that Georgia game last year. You had some dogs over there. Michael, I know he was kind of banged up, but you had dogs over there. And I thought he did really well against that Georgia defensive line last season. He utilized his hands very well. Ability to get off the ball quickly, get to the second level, open up those running lanes. Like I said, quick feet. It's just the anchor. The anchor sometimes will hurt him. The power part of his game will hurt him sometimes. And like as a pass protector, bro, just getting bigger, getting stronger, holding blocks a little longer, especially against those more physical edges. I think that's where you got to hit the weight room. I think that's probably maybe why he stayed in school. Could have came out last year. Let me stay in school. Clemson had a run. A lot of these guys are coming back. Let me bolster my draft stock and get more physical. So we'll see what he brings this season for the right tackle position at Clemson.
Yeah, I got here. When he's in attack mode, to me, he looks better. Everything looks better. His feet, his aggression, his anchor, everything looks like it falls into place. And he looks like a guy, bro. Looks like a guy. Or a dude, as Daniel Jeremiah would say, right? I like him on the move. Like Ellie said, he's adept at finding this guy, latching on the guys. When he gets going, you can see his power when he gets going. When he latches on, can pass things off smoothly, consistently in terms of guys playing games up front. You see those feet, you see his head kind of moving around, and he's looking a little light, like a dancing bear a little bit. It's clean, it's smooth, it's pretty to watch. Good feet, movement ability, and pass pro. Got to get that punch out though. Got to get that punch out. You don't get that punch out, we get in a little passive, and bad things start to happen, bro. And I know Hadley said part of that is his strength, but for me, I just get the punch out to slow the guy down, to get a feel for the guy, so you can drop that anchor and take on what happened. Because I was trying to remember what the issue was from last year, and I saw it, bro. Hands get wide, and we bear hugging folks, bro. I don't want to see none of that, bro. Like I need that to stop. I need you to be more consistent in terms of your technique. I would agree though in terms of him getting a little bit stronger. And again, I go back to just getting your punch out, man, to slow the guy down and get a feel of what's going to happen. Because he can get set up sometimes when he's a little too passive, and the defender can kind of set him up, so he don't get that punch out. The defender goes wide, and then he kind of opens up, and he's too wide, and now the defender slips back inside, and it's an easy, what I'm saying, it's an easy sack, TFL, whatever it is that he gives up. Sometimes he's able to kind of catch himself, but again, if he's not strong enough, it becomes like a hold or the bear hug, or it looks like a hold in the position that the ref's looking at because he's out of position. And so, that's something that he's gonna have to work on. But I got here if he's able to kind of nail those things down, bro. Talking about him being one of the top tackles coming out, bro. If not the top tackle.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to beat, man. That boy, you from Utah, Fano. That's my guy right there.
I mean,
right tackle
he
over there. You got Prop there. You got your boy from Miami. So I don't know about top tackle, but maybe that day 2 range, maybe. For Blake Miller,
bro. Day 2.
Damn, okay, bro. Day 2-ish,
y'all mark
bro.
the tape, bro. Day 2-ish over here with the Mr. C. Prasky stuff. I got you. Go ahead.
And you want to talk about day 2-ish, man? This next guy, bro, I'm just not there yet on him, man. And it's the quarterback, Cade Klubnik. He's improved from last season. He's getting better every year. So that's the positives I have on him. But when I watch the tape, bro, I see, man, like I got questions. I got a lot of questions about him. He's being touted as one of these top quarterbacks in this class. And the quarterback, that's another position that's kind of wide open. We expect Arch to kind of rise, but some people like Cade. Some people like Cade Klubnik, bro. I just think the arm talent, it doesn't look the best to me at this point. The size, he doesn't really have that. The Clemson offense is just sometimes hard to watch, bro. Like, are they using the middle of the field more? It's a lot of, first read options. And then just getting past his first read, like I said, man, it's just like I want him to get into the second to the third read. I just not a big fan of his at this. What am I missing, bro? Not a big fan at this point. Let me know what I'm missing, Drew, man. Maybe you could talk me into him a little bit.
Well, I mean, we talked about it in terms of how that offense operates, and the guys that have succeeded in it kind of done well despite it, right? Kind of gone beyond it, and I don't think Cade is that type of guy. I think this year, towards the middle end of the season, they started to use the middle of the field, as we like to talk about. And he's kind of opened up his options in terms of being able to get the football out, because there are better reads and more reads when you're able to get the ball in the middle of the field. And I think that's kind of helped his progression, bro. You know what I'm saying? In terms of being able to read the football field, and it's just not stuff that's going down the sideline. It's not these low percentage throws. It's not these bubble screens that a lot of colleges have. I mean, every college have those. It's him being able to drop back, read, go from left to right, right to left, and make those reads. And I think he's improving in that. I think he's taking the next step. But one of my biggest issues for him is getting the ball out timely, bro, and stop trying to maybe make the big play. Because if you go back and you watch that Pittsburgh game, holding on to the ball a little bit long. I know you had said that about was it Mateer you had said that about? So I think Klubnik does a little bit of that.
I think it was Mendoza.
It was Mendoza. I'm sorry, Mendoza.
Yeah.
It was Mendoza. Sure, it was Mendoza.
You hold on to the ball.
Mendoza. You're right. You're correct. You're correct. But yeah, I just think I think he's going to take Clemson where they want to go, bro. I think that he's going to take them to the playoffs. I think that he's going to take them to the playoffs, and I think he's going to be a guy, bro. I really do. Because after that Georgia game, and I know it's Georgia, we was kind of hard. We was kind of down on those boys. And they kind of got themselves together and picked it up, bro. And he was a big part of that. As long as he's being able to get the football out timely, bro, I think, time in the rhythm. Get him in that time in the rhythm, and you're probably going to see the best the club did. But if you got to sit back there and 3, 4, 5 seconds have passed, bro, I think he gets worse, bro. Some quarterbacks get better, he gets worse. Let him get the football out timely, and he's going to be all right.
Yeah, man. What you think, Drew? Like, I'm not a big fan. Like, Drew seems to have some optimism about him. What you thinking about Klubnik?
I think there's reason to be optimistic. I certainly understand your trepidation, Headley, right? Like we've only seen it for perhaps 3/4 of the season to this point, and I know we discussed it last week. Some of the competition wasn't necessarily up to snuff. I think confidence, as Drew likes to say, is a hell of a drug, right? And he finished on a high note I also think Drew is very accurate in terms of if he's in rhythm, and this speaks to the first read situation, Headley, that's when he's at his best. Not unlike most quarterbacks, right? So the question remains. Can he take a step? I think certainly from 1 year to the next, he's improved. All right. So we need to see some of that same improvement, right? Taking his game to the next level. I don't know that Klubnik has demonstrated that he can carry a team, take it over, albeit Clemson's. I don't know. I don't want to disrespect Phil Maffa. Phil Maffa is my guy, bro. You know what I'm saying? I think he was a good college back. I think there's just more onus on him this time around, right? Defensively, Clemson is ready to go. You know what I'm saying? There's some really intriguing prospects. Hopefully my video feed isn't acting up too much right now, but I think to your point, Drew, in order for Clemson to get to where they want to go, Klubnik is going to have to be a capital GUI, right? I don't know that this team, despite the fact that it is very talented, is so talented that they can kind of carry him. You know what I mean? And that is the question mark. Is he ready to be kind of that engine to the offense, or is he more of a guy that just kind of manages it? Dishes it out. I think from a physical skill set perspective, it certainly seems as if he can be the engine, but he's got to demonstrate it. You know what I mean? And again, when that first read isn't necessarily there, can you get to the secondary and tertiary options within that passing concept? And then not to belabor the point, but it's about good decision making as well, and accuracy not waning when the pressure steps up. I thought, Drew, what you mentioned last week about how he responds to adversity, that's probably the biggest question mark, right? Yeah. When things are going well, like you said, that first read and rhythm and everything is proceeding and the offense is on schedule, it looks great. But when there's a negative play, when a Blake Miller or one of the offensive linemen get beat or whatever the case may be, how do you respond to that? So it's really about his maturation as a quarterback, not just necessarily what's happening from a physical standpoint, but the mental space and being a leader as well. So he's got question marks. He's got question marks. I think he's got talent, but he's got question marks. I'm certainly not ready to crown him either.
Yeah, it's Clemson, man. Anybody else from Clemson you got, man, on the offense, Drew?
Maybe you want to talk about last gander.
I think we're good.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get over to the national champs then, bro. We're gonna end with the national champs. Ohio State Buckeyes on Ryan Day. Got the monkey off his back, got over the hump. A lot of question marks on them, a lot of hate on them, including myself, man. I'll take the accountability. Didn't think they was gonna get it done. They got it done. Will Howard had a big playoff and some of those guys, but the defense. Let's start here on the defense, Drew. Like, they lost a lot of defensive talent, bro. The whole defensive line, Tuamalo, Sawyer, Tyleek, Ty Hamilton, they're all gone on the defensive side of the football. But what they do have here, to me, probably the best defender over the last 2 seasons. Caleb Downs, bro, like the Alabama transfer, like, I'm going to say it here, man. He might be the best player in the class. I know it's the safety position. It gets devalued a little bit. We saw what happened to my boy Malachi Starks, our boy Malachi Starks. No. But I don't think it's going to happen to Caleb Downs, because this guy is like, what I say? Life is about movements. That life is about movements. The movement ability, just being in the right place at the right time. Like, he has that in spade. He's a gifted football player. And when I watched him, bro, like, it's certain guys, bro, like that movement ability is different, bro. When I saw Marshawn Lattimore for the first time, I was like, it's the movement ability. And I think Caleb Downs from the safety position is a lot like him, where it just looks clean. It looks effortless. Saying he could turn his hips really well. He could trigger downhill. He could cover in space. It's just outstanding. It's A+ all across the board. I was kind of I was in awe a little bit watching him, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, I kind of forgot that I had to write notes on him. I'm like, he made that play. He made that play also. Just even the plays he don't make, bro. It's like, it's so beautiful, bro. It's pretty. He's textbook as from a tackling standpoint. I know Drew had the take. He's probably the best tackler that he's seen from the safety position. I'm not ready to go there yet, but he don't miss tackles, bro, because he's textbook. He wraps up. He's not just trying to hit guys. He covers a lot of space really quickly. Like he could cover. He's always where he needs to be. To me, right now, he's just a very easy evaluation. I think he's the safest thing to a lock in this class. Always around the football, very instinctive football player, and it's just, man, just the angles. The angles is there. It's like even plays where I'm like, oh, he ain't gonna get to that play. He just finds a way to gets his hand on the football player's feet to kind of trip him up and make the tackle, bro. And it's like, yeah, man, I could go on and on about this guy, bro. Caleb Downs, bro. Player one for me in this class right now.
Don't he return kicks and punts and stuff too, bro? Like what this man don't do.
Yeah.
The only thing he don't do is play offense, bro.
Gifted football player, bro. You can that's the only notes you need, bro. Is gifted football player. He's one of those. He's one of those types, bro.
Yes.
Like he excels at everything he does on the football field, bro. He excels at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Caleb Downs probably is a NFL caliber player playing the offensive side of the ball. I don't know what position it is, but bro, you know what? I know, Drew, you were gonna go up next, but I had to interject because he's the kid, right? That was playing, Optimus, Pop Warner, whatever the case may be, that you had the certain kids that at a certain point you had to, if you weighed too much, you couldn't play or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it mattered what age group he was in. He would be the best. You know what I'm saying? That's what it reminds me of. One of those kids that okay, there's certain, kids that develop faster than others or whatever the case. Like, to me, it wouldn't have mattered whatever age group he was in. He was going to be the best player. I couldn't say it better. I couldn't say it better. Gifted football player, bro. I don't have anything really negative. I'm going to find something to nitpick on eventually, but to this point, and I think what strikes me the most as I turn it over to you, Drew, is the fact that you have to identify where he is, bro.
Yep.
Right? That to me is the mark of a great player, bro. When especially when you talk about a safety, like if you don't find Caleb Downs, if you don't locate him and account for him, he's going to make the play, bro. He's whatever plans, whatever designs you have, he's gonna ruin it if you don't locate him. Yeah, he's special. He's special. No question about it.
That's some Ed Reed, bro. When you hear Bill Belichick talk about Ed Reed, he's like, yo, every play we got to locate where Ed Reed is at. We got to know where he's at because we got to know, what we're doing based on where he's at, right? But I was listening to, I don't know, a YouTube short. I'm gonna give the podcast some credit. They're Ohio State guys. I think it's called Menace to Sports. And he had said that he was talking to Ryan Day, and Caleb came into the facility, and he said, "Coach, we got to take all this stuff that says we're winners. All this got to come down because these guys that's coming in, majority of them didn't do this. So we hitting the reset button. You know the Nintendo, you hit the little reset button. That's what we doing here. There's a different mentality with this guy, bro. In terms of his physical traits and the instincts and all of that, bro. Hell, you said all that, bro. I don't need to repeat any of that. But I'm giving you another layer, another piece to who this guy is. And you go from one big program to another big program. Same player. Nothing changes, right? Matter of fact, he's even better here than he was.
He's better, right? He took a step because he's a year older. He's more experienced, Yeah. Yeah.
It's and sometimes I forget I'm watching the Ohio State defense and I'm watching an offensive team go against them. And then I see number 2 make a play, and I'm like, and I forget who that is until the jersey. I see the back of the jersey, and that's Caleb. Okay, that makes sense. Like, when we talk about players that are just different, that's him. He's the definition of that. He's just different, bro. And there's like saying nothing he can't do. I wonder what he would look like if he was playing offense. He's special, bro. And best player in the draft. And I don't think there's gonna. I don't see a player that can remove him from there. But he's player one, bro. Period.
Let me put things in perspective. It's twofold. It's twofold, and I probably want to unpack this a little bit more as we get through this, work through this cycle, right? So, Drew, you mentioned he's perhaps the best tackling safety you've ever seen. Now, I assume you're talking about in terms of you're actually studying film for NFL draft purposes, not necessarily just watching football as a fan over the years. Because on the latter part, I want to ask you guys a question: who's the best tackling safety you've ever seen, bro? Not necessarily studied for NFL draft, but who's the best tackling safety you've ever seen? I got a name, bro.
It's a couple guys, bro. Who you got? Darren Woodson?
No,
I know you're a
that's my guy. You know that. Come on, man, stop that. Darren Woodson is my guy now. Don't get me wrong, but it's in the NFC East.
Dawkins,
bro.
Yeah.
Dawkins, bro.
Yeah.
Brian Dawkins is the best tackling safety I've ever seen, bro.
Yeah, and he brought physicality to it. It was different than your boy Downs. You know, when I think of Downs, I think of Brian Branch.
That's a hitter. That's a hitter.
Yeah.
That ain't what I'm talking about.
Banging. Like Steve Atwater back in the days too, man.
Right.
But No, when I think about Downs, I thought about Brian Branch. When Drew said that's the best tackling safety he's ever seen, Brian Branch name came immediately to me because he's another guy that tackles really well at a position, and it's wrap-up tackles. He's not banging or being overly physical. It's textbook. Wrap up. I'm getting the ball carrier on the ground. So I think Branch is the last one I've seen like that, and Kalen Downs has that also.
I'm a little just a smidge too young for Ronnie Lott, right? But
yeah.
I wanted to mention Brian Dawkins, ask that question, mention Brian Dawkins, because the Eagles built their defense around him. Like, it's almost unheard of. It's almost unheard of to build your defense around a safety. You know what I'm saying? The third level defender. You know what I mean? But Downs strikes me as the type of player that you know, the right defensive mind coordinator could effectively build the defense around him. He's that good. He's that good. Whether, you know, in pass coverage at the third level, whether he is your third or fourth linebacker at the second level, blitz, like, again, really nothing he can't do on the football field. And you mentioned kind of Ed Reed in terms of teams, in the case of Belichick, basically saying you got to identify him, right? Ed Reed transformed the Ravens defense, but the defense wasn't built around Ed Reed, as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong about that, but as far as I'm aware, right? They still work front to back. You know what I'm saying? Whereas with Brian Dawkins, you got to go back a little further. But with Brian Dawkins, they actually built it back to front. So it's incredible. It's incredible. But we're already mentioning some really rarefied names as it relates when we're drawing parallels and things with respect to Caleb Downs. It just goes to show. And then, Drew, that's a great point you made, that nugget in terms of some mentality, the way he's wired. You know what I'm saying? I figured you have to be that good, bro. You got to be a different kind of cat mentally to be that good, you know, every weekend, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I'm with you. Caleb Downs is the top prospect in the class that I've seen thus far. Yeah.
We can end it right there, bro.
That's
we can end the show, bro. Right there, bro.
The show is over, man. No, we got to get to some more guys. And he's a younger brother of my guy Josh Downs, so it's only right that I claim him as my guy, Caleb Downs, because he's a younger brother of my other guy, Josh Downs.
I think you had told me that. I think you had told me that before.
That's his little bro. That's a little bro right there. But no, I'm just playing. But let's all right, go Juice.
No, I was just saying it's unfortunate because he's a 5-star. So
nobody can claim it. Nobody can stand.
Nobody can claim it.
That cat is 6-star, bro. 6-star.
Yeah, effectively. Yeah.
All right, next guy we have, man. Let's stay in the secondary. Let's go to Davidson Igminoson, the corner from Ohio State. To me, I thought he was the best corner there last year over Denzel Burke. Physical football player. The only thing is he just get a little handsy down the field. You gotta not get his handsy down the field. We saw your boy Terry and Arnold in the league get called for a lot of pass interference early on. So I think he just has to clean that up a little bit. But, I like how physical he is. I like the press ability and the sticky man-to-man coverage as well, man. Anything on Igby you wanted to add?
Yeah, man. His game is based on physicality, and it's based on slowing down the guy in front of him. Like he's probably gonna be a guy, bro, that, like you said, gonna commit a lot of penalties because he did this past year. But you're gonna live with it because there's things that you can teach him to say, hey, man, you gotta let go a little sooner, right, to avoid that penalty. They're gonna let you do what you do, but you gotta let go because there were plays to be made in terms of making plays on the football that he didn't make this past year because he's being too physical, being too aggressive. And you have the guys who are super aggressive because they don't have the long speed, right? I don't want to get beat. I'm scared, right? So I'm gonna hold him down. Right? I don't think that's him. I think he just wants to be a bully in the alley, bro, at all times, anywhere on the football field. And you can't do that, bro. Like you gotta. All right, man. He's beyond the 5 yards. We gotta let him live, right? Because I think he has the closing ability, and he just gotta dial back. I got him here at 6'2", 193. I mean, damn, bro, you big enough, man. Just dial it back. But in terms of refining his game, it's just being a little less aggressive, trusting your technique, and making plays on the football. That's really what I'm looking for this year. Is just I need to see the production, because if you go back and you watch that first Oregon versus Ohio State game, bro, Denzel Burke was getting work, bro. They was we're not going to
everybody got a piece.
It was bad, bro.
Yeah,
it was bad, bro. So and Igbinosa, bro, he bought that life, bro. He be talking greasy, bro. Like he got the swag, like he's almost the whole package, bro. So yeah, if it wasn't for the if it wasn't for the if it wasn't for the passing
squad up,
man.
I might give him he top 3 corner. He might be.
Think he out there? He got some games,
there, bro.
It's what you said, though, Drew. It's what you said about Igbinosun, though. He needs to trust his technique. He doesn't trust his technique. Yeah. That's why, like, I get what you're saying in terms of his penchant for physicality, because I like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of that, but I don't think he fully trusts his technique. And if and when he does, you can start talking about him among the very best corners in this class, because I think he has the physical tools, certainly, but yeah, he doesn't trust his technique. I don't see it.
Yep. All right, man. So yeah, that's the second. Actually, you got the Styles brothers here, Lorenzo Styles and Sonny Styles. I think Sonny's.
Wait a minute. We got brothers, bro. I missed that.
Yeah, Lorenzo's a nickel. Yeah, and then Sonny. I think Lorenzo's the older brother. And then Sonny Styles is the younger brother. Former safety turned linebacker. He's a guy with intensity, physicality. He's kind of what you're looking for at that second level. I like the move from safety to linebacker, because at safety, just the coverage ability isn't there all the way. Even at linebacker, man, you see running backs kind of take advantage of him in the passing game. But he played great, especially late down the season. The Texas game, he did great. The Notre Dame game, he did great. The last 2 games of the year. Strong in the run game. Green dog him, getting after the quarterback as well. And like I said, although he's a former safety, you expect him to cover better as a linebacker. But he still can be taking advantage of there, man. So that's where he needs to work on to be a true 3-down football player. But man, you just gotta love who he is as a football player, man. The mentality that he plays with.
Yeah, man. C-ball go get ball headhunter, man. He's used in a lot of different ways over there. Just according to PFF, he played 132 snaps at D-line, 590 snaps in the box, 2 at free safety. That speaks to his ability to be back there. That sounds like a liability as far as I'm concerned. Slot, he had 163, and at cornerback he had 8. So they see him, they use him, in many different ways. He does close out space when he's heading downhill, sideline to sideline as well. He's able to avoid blocks or evade blocks with a simple step or a movement one way or the other. Then he explodes down to the ball carrier with bad intentions. I like him in the short to intermediate game because, obviously he can close out the spaces between the receiver and the ball. He makes a lot of plays with the offensive lineman. Well, let me restate this. Watching him, there are a lot of plays, and it's not necessarily on him. This is just what they've schemed it up. He makes a lot of plays when the offensive linemen when the numbers look overwhelming to the offensive line, whether he's freed up because of it or he's one-on-one with a guy because of it. A lot of that is kind of schemed up. So I'm wondering if it's not schemed up, how would he fare on a more consistent basis? But when he made a lot of plays, it was because he was kind of filling the A gap, kind of in the B gap, but there were other guys beside him. It looks like we're going to send 7, but we only send 5, we send 4, but he usually, if it was disguised well, he would make the play. He did struggle against Minnesota. He did just looking at the PFF, not that I look at the PFF grades. I was looking for the snaps, and I just happened to look down and see that he did play poorly against Minnesota. So I'm wondering about, if he's not able to evade or avoid the blocks, because it's not a guy that's going to go out there and stack and shed, obviously, with the size that he has or the weight that he has. Is he going to struggle? I know that, Minnesota is bully ball out there, and that's what they do. And I think if I'm not mistaken, Ohio State didn't play well in that game till maybe the end. I think it was a tight game all the way till the end, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but he didn't play well in that. And then just what the long speed looks like, or him just going backwards. What does that look like?
Yeah, man. Interesting football player as well. Kind of the new age linebacker, transition from that safety position to that linebacker position. Talking about transitioning to the offensive side of the football. Anybody else on defense? I know there's a lot of guys that need to step up, man. Like I said, the whole defensive line is new. They all went to the draft, all went to the league. So we'll see which one of these guys on the defensive line step up for Ohio State.
Yeah, I think we'll be talking about several more defenders when it's all said and done. But as of right now, I think we've covered the main names. Yep.
All right, man. Offensive side of the football. We can't talk about Jeremiah, the 6-star, the super sophomore. Another guy in that 2027 class, ridiculous. We talked a little bit about Max Clare, man. I'm going to go to Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State. This is a guy, when I watched him, I really didn't know what to expect. He was kind of overshadowed a lot in that offense. You had Ibuka out there, Jeremiah Smith out there, had a couple tight ends out there as well. Didn't really get as much playing time. So I was like, and then when I watched him, like just live, in passing, he didn't really stand out too much. I seen him have like a big drop in a big game on a slant route. I forgot what game that was. And I was like, ooh, you got to catch that, man. But when I dived into the tape, man, I was pleasantly surprised, bro. Like, he has great hands. I don't know how he dropped that wide open pass, but he usually catches everything. I like his feel against zone coverage, kind of knows when to sit down or kind of work towards the sidelines, help his quarterback out on those corner routes. Like I said, great hands. And not that it's really good hands, it's late hands. We talk about that at the wide receiver position, where you don't want to give it away to the defender that the ball is coming in. But if you have the ability to have those late hands and still catch the football down the field, man, that's just an added bonus for you as a wide receiver and for your quarterback. So I do like his late hands. Right here, he's a smooth route runner. He's always appears open, like kind of smoothly breaks off the stems, man. And I had the name last week. I'm gonna say it again. When I watched him, man, he's a little bigger than this guy, but he got some Reggie Wayne to his game, bro. Reggie Wayne wasn't overly fast. I wasn't overly demonstrative, but just knew how to get open. It was a smooth football player for the Colts, man. I see a lot of the similarities in Carnell Tate as well. Athletic numbers will be big for him. I want to see what that will look like. Run after the catch ability, he's not really dynamic with the ball in his hand. Neither was Reggie Wayne. Wasn't really dynamic after the catch. Did his thing, but and I want to see him more against physical man cornerbacks, bro. I think he can add a little weight, add a little strength. When he gets pressed and guys get physical with him, just want to see what that looks like, because he's not the biggest wide receiver as well as far as weight goes. So I like him, man. I think he can slide into the first round and maybe compete as one of the top wide receivers in this class.
Yeah, got him here. They got him here listed 6'3", 190. He's definitely. I think that is true. He's probably 6'3". I don't know if he's 190. They got him 191. But right away, I noticed his hands, his ability to snatch the ball. out of the air. Like you said, he got the late hands. So you got the late hands and you snatch the football out the air, man. That's extra credit, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's icing on the cake. Uses his size and his frame when he's in traffic to kind of fend off defenders, to outstretch those arms to catch the ball at his highest point. If you're going to be that tall, you got to be able to – that's something you got to be able to do. So I'm interested to see what that wingspan looks like. Got a guy here, 6'3". He's a big target. He does get his head around quickly. He does find the holes in the zone. He doesn't waste – and I think this is what you're talking about in terms of route running. He doesn't waste much time breaking off his routes. He just kind of gets into it smooth and eyes are around, head is around, and hands are ready. I thought he appears to have some juice when the ball is in his hands. It looked to be a little bit deceiving to defenders at times. I got here, didn't see him challenged at the line of scrimmage. He only had 4 touchdowns last year. We kind of talked about in terms of his production, but with what I believe he has with the size and the frame, his ability, he should be able to produce more. And this should be his coming out year this year. So Carnell Tate, man, let's go.
Yeah, man, big Tate, man. Yeah, they're gonna need him with Jeremiah Smith. We get to another wide receiver and a tight end. We could talk a little bit about Max Clare if you want. But let's get to Brandon Ennis. I guess he's the Ibuka replacement as a slot wide receiver on the inside, playing that wide position. What I noticed when I watched him was just, he wants the ball. You throw him the ball in coverage, you throw him, down the field. Like, he's one of those guys that's going to fight for the football. Very strong hands through contact. Got some speed to him as well, some after the catch ability. So, they lost some guys, but this wide receiver room is probably still one of the best in the nation. Man, we talk about wide receiver Jeremiah Smith's going to be a high draft pick. Carnell Tate, to me, is going to be a high draft pick. And Ennis could be a little like a sleeper coming up, man, because he has some ability from the slot position.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch Ennis. I kind of looked at him. I was like, should I? Nah, I ain't going to do it.
Nah, you need to check him out. Check him out.
I need to check him out. Check him out. Got to
do
it. It is wide receiver I got to give him respect.
You're 5-star from American Heritage. You're 5-star from American Heritage, so.
I don't even know why I even thought about it.
Ohio State, they just get 5-star receivers. It's kind of what they do.
It's your boy, man. It's your boy.
Heartline.
Heartline, bro. Heartline got that pipeline, bro.
He do.
I think
Tate,
ain't it? Tate. I think Tate played high school ball at IMG. I think he went to IMG.
Yeah, Florida boys.
Over there in is that Bradenton down there?
Yeah, I think he's from Illinois originally, Chicago or something like that. But he played his ball at IMG, so you know how that goes. I already know what time it was. I mean. Yeah. So we did talk about Max Clare earlier, and that was kind of the question mark, right? We got Ennis, we got Tate, we got Jeremiah Smith. You got another 5-star. I think his name is Dylan Hartman, I believe, or Durham. I forget his name, but there's more. Believe it or not, there's more behind Ennis Smith and Tate that's coming. So, how would Claire kind of figure in? And I guess it could go both ways, obviously, right? This is why we play the games. It could go both ways as teams try to figure out, okay, how do we roll coverage, bracket Smith, take away Tate? Okay, now Ennis is beating us. It's too many. You gotta. It's going to be one of those situations where I think it comes down to the quarterback play at the end of the day. Can you identify where you have the leverage, where you have the matchup advantage, and take advantage of that without getting that tunnel vision as it relates to Jeremiah Smith? You know what I'm saying? So I do expect Max Clare to have a quality season. I just don't know it's going to be one of those situations where he got peppered the way he did in Purdue. So we'll see that. I think one of the big things, as you guys mentioned, is the fact that he competes. He competes in the running game, right? In line. Yep. You know what I mean? And that goes a long way in terms of his draft stock. Are there any offensive linemen that you've seen from Ohio State that you think is particularly noteworthy at this point?
It's Ohio State, so offensive line is definitely always a position that you got to scout for these boys. They produce one every single season, and I think it's the transfers, bro. We got to go to the transfers at the tackle position. You got Big Ethan Onyewa. This guy is 6'6", 157. He came from Rice. a small
Okay.
school, came from Rice. He looked like he's going to be the starting left tackle for these boys. And then you got Phillip Daniels, right tackle from Minnesota. So, Minnesota produces offensive linemen as well. So those are the two guys to watch. I haven't went too deep into them, but I just know, man, Ohio State offensive line is going to be a good one, man. So those are two guys to watch at the tackle position.
All right, good stuff. Drew, anything you want to add?
Nah, bro.
Oh, it's one more. CJ, about CJ Donaldson? Iowa State transfer.
Yes.
He's one of those physical running backs. The other dude over there, Jaheim, he only 5'7", like 160, but I don't even know how big he is, but he is nice. He's shifty. Just got to stay healthy. And then Donaldson was the other guy there, and he transferred it over to Ohio State. He's like more the thunder, physical running back in between the tackles. So he's there as well as James Peoples, the sophomore.
My biggest question mark with respect to Ohio State's offense is its backfield, and then I'm including the quarterback in that, right? So obviously new starter, and then when you made your run, you went all in. You made your run. You had a healthy Travion with the Quinshon Judkins.
Hard to replace that, my boy.
Hard to replace that, my boy. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how it all plays out. That's the biggest question mark with respect to Ohio State's offense in my mind. Perhaps the team overall, that backfield. All right. Great show, fellas. Great show. Lots of great information. That is our summer scouting for the Texas, Clemson, and Ohio State football programs. A lot of NFL draft prospects. I'm sure there'll be more that we discuss over the course of the next 9-10 months or so within this particular draft cycle. Guys, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Don't
we
be selfish.
talk about it all the time. We talk about it all the time. I know you guys out there lurking. I know you're lurking. You know what I'm saying? Become fans of the podcast. And in fact, we're going to make the second half draft show available on wherever you download your podcast. So, of course, YouTube is our home currently, but we want to branch out a little bit more. So be on the lookout for that as well. All right. For the patrons, I should have something for you tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that as well. For Helly, Drew, this is Juice. Have a great night. Take it easy, Mr. C.